No money April, no money May, no money June, no money July, no money August.
A mother on the hunt for a runaway father.
There was a 5-month period when you didn't send her child support.
I couldn't afford it.
I don't give a rat's behind what you can afford.
I was volunteering to help, like, taking care of them.
Because she refused your gracious offer to babysit, you didn't pay her support.
Exactly.
Judge Judy.
I don't want to hear you anymore.
Administrative assistant Elizabeth Ramos is suing her ex-boyfriend, salesman Chad Lowry, for child support.
All rise.
This is case number 332 on the calendar in the matter of Ramos versus Lowry. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Ramos, Mr. Lowry is your former boyfriend. You also have a child together.
Yes.
Your claim is that he owes you for some child support and also for some old loans before you separated.
Yes.
Mr. Lowry says that he doesn't owe you anything and you should really just move on. So I have some questions for you, because I do have a question about this back child support. According to your complaint, you had made an arrangement with Mr. Lowry, and he was paying a certain amount in child support. How much were you paying, sir?
For the first, I believe it was 2 months or 3 months, it was $800. That was for child support and whatever I owed her. And
Whatever you owed her for what?
for the phone bill, that was pretty much it. And then I dropped it down to $600. And then I was going to lose my job
Why were you losing your job?
because I was relocating.
So it was voluntary. You weren't going to lose your job. You were quitting.
Yeah.
Why were you hesitating? I mean, I
Well,
want to know if you
because,
got let go, or either you were fired, the company went out of business, or you decided that you wanted another career opportunity.
I would just work, exactly. I wanted another career opportunity.
What kind of work had you been doing?
Sales.
Okay. Then what kind of job were you going to?
Sales.
Same job, different jurisdiction.
Exactly.
Okay. How long were you out of work?
2.5 months.
Why were you out of work so long?
Because I was getting everything situated down here so I could move up to Vegas and whatnot. And so
Well, just a second. I don't understand, sir. Why did it take you 2.5 months to do that?
things were going on with the company that I was working for that was hurting me, so I voluntarily left that job.
How was it voluntarily hurting you?
It wasn't the job for me, pretty much. You know, so I stopped working there.
So you stopped working
Yes.
voluntarily. Now, at the time you stopped working voluntarily for these 2 months, how much had you been immediately preceding that giving Miss Ramos for your son?
I was giving her up to $600 a month.
How much?
$475 right before he
1 month before.
Oh, it's fine.
Was-
This is going to work to your favor.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
exactly.
I wouldn't argue with her.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying I
Fine.
knew I was going to lose my job. Then I'd asked her, look, instead of taking Dominic to the babysitter, since I'm not going to be working, I'll be able to help you out a lot more during the daytime while she's working, take care of my son, see him every day.
No, Mr. Lowry. That's all very nice. You have responsibility. You can't take
Exactly.
you can't take a 2-month vacation from your job.
I wasn't
You can't.
taking
Yes, you are. You would take a 2-month vacation. All right. And then what happened is you went to the family court and you got a support order
Yes.
against Mr. Lowry, and they said for the 2 months that he didn't give you any money, go
It was a little
to
more than 2 months, I'm sorry.
how many months?
It was from April to August.
He didn't give you any money in April?
No money April, no money May, no money June, no money July, no money August.
5 months. Well, what took you 5 months?
Well, I was asking her if I could, instead of giving her $600 or $475 a month, since I'm not working, can I work it out some other way? Like taking care of them instead of having the babysitter take care of them?
You already said that, and I already said to you that was the 2 months that you weren't working, Mr. Lowry.
Yeah, but it wasn't
And I
allowed
already-
to me.
Shh, listen to me. She was right. You don't take a vacation for 2 months and say, I'll babysit. Child has a routine. Child goes to a babysitter, goes to a daycare facility, goes to something else. As a parent, you could do that. You can take 2 months off. I don't care if you take off from today until next Tisha B'Av.
Exactly.
As long as you don't have children to support. When you have children to support, you don't say, I'm going to take a 2-month vacation.
And I wanted to support my child.
Then you
I
shouldn't have
wanted
quit
to
your
do
job.
it
Listen to me.
physically.
Then you shouldn't have quit your job. Then you support and you visit on weekends. Go when
I
you're on
wanted to do
vacation.
it every day during
That's
work.
too bad. That's what comes under the category of too bad. What I want to know is, once you got to Las Vegas and you started to work, because you said you're only out of work 2.5 months, why didn't you start to send her money?
Well, I've just started working in Las Vegas September 23rd.
You said you were only out of work 2.5 months. She says you didn't pay her for 5 months.
Okay, I'd asked her, look, you know what, is there any way that we could work on this? So instead of paying you the money, can I take care of my son?
I've already addressed that, sir. I asked
know,
you
and
what happened when you went to work in Las Vegas. Why didn't you send her
It just
the money?
started. I just started in Las Vegas September 23rd.
She says there was a 5-month period when you didn't send her child support, Mr. Lowry.
I was
Are we
trying to
not
get to that, but
understanding
you're
English?
interrupting me. I was trying to get to that, but you're not letting me finish.
I've gotten past babysitting for 2 months. Why didn't you send her money for 5 months?
I was trying to get to that.
Get to it.
I had asked her if I could please kind of do something else other than the money situation, because I wasn't gonna have the money to support the child. I was volunteering to help any way that I could possibly do it. She didn't accept it. So I told her, if you want to do it by yourself, do it by yourself. If I have no say so in the matter, do it by yourself. I'm still his dad, right? I'm still my father. I mean, my baby's dad. I believe if I'm not working.
What you're explaining to me, sir, because she refused your gracious offer to quit your job and babysit during the day for 2 months while you were making this transition, you didn't pay her support for the 5 months until she took you to court. Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't talk to her, yeah. I didn't talk to her for 5 months after that. Because I had told her if she wants to do it by herself,
Larry, I don't want to hear you anymore. I don't want to hear you anymore. Sales is perfect for you. Maybe some people buy it. Not in this pew.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I think it's much too complicated for you.
Try me.
Try it? Well, let's give it a try.
And later today,
I never keep my money in the bank, promise.
Where did you put your check every week?
At the bank, at my bank.
You see how you're getting to be tripping over your tie there, sir?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Ramos says ex-boyfriend Chad Lowry owes for unpaid child support. Chad says he's been in between jobs.
You think that your $475 a month covers a child's expenses?
That's why I was giving her 800, 600.
You stopped giving her 800, 600.
And then it broke, yeah, because I couldn't afford it, that's why.
Listen to me. I don't give a rat's behind what you can afford. What I asked you was, do you think $475 a month covers a child's expenses?
No.
Food, clothing, medical, insurance, rent, daycare, babysitting while she works. You think?
I'm well aware of that.
You think that it covers that?
No.
No, of course not. So what you were doing was paying a portion.
Ask her what she was paying.
She was working. You told me that you wanted to babysit while she was working instead of taking the child to the babysitter, right? That's what you just told me. She wasn't quitting her job.
Exactly.
Let me put it to you this way.
Exactly.
Let me put it to you this way, sir. Let us say this. I think this is much too complicated for you.
Try me.
Well, let's give it a try. Let's say Miss Ramos has a child with you, and she's a working lady, and a court fixes a support order for you, says, listen, this is what the child's needs are. A child needs $800 a month. She can afford from her job to pay $400, and you can afford from your job to pay $400. That's fair? Mm-hmm. Court makes an order, you've got to pay $400 a month. A couple of years go by, Miss Ramos decides to get married, and she has a new baby. And she says, I'm not working with this new baby. I want to stay home for a while, for a year or two, and mother this new baby. So, Mr. Lowry, she goes back to court. And the judge said, well, your baby still has $800 worth of needs. So now, Mr. Lowry, you have to pay $800 a month because she decided to stop working. How do you think you wouldn't like that?
I wouldn't.
No. Well, that's what you did.
But
you said,
never
I'm not
court order.
working. I'm decided I'm not going to work for the next few months. So I'll take up the slack. You keep working.
Any which way I know how to.
Please, you know.
If I don't have no money, what else can I do?
As I said, sales is wonderful for you. Miss Ramos, you haven't said much. But let me tell you this. You've also got a lot of other things. You've also got a lot of other claims here against him that I'm not even hearing because they're nonsense. Something that you were going to buy him for his birthday. You broke up. He said, I want it anyway, and I'll pay for it. A phone bill. I'm not interested in all that stuff. I'm interested in the child support. That's the big thing. And on the child support, he owes you a whole bunch of money. $2,115 is what he owes you for the child support when he voluntarily left his employment, which in my judgment he cannot do when he has responsibilities. I am only surprised that the family court, when they fixed his child support obligation, did not also fix an amount in arrears, because they should have. If they did not, I am prepared to do that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,115. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's extremely hard having to look a 2-year-old in the eyes and not have their father there,
I tried to do the best that I could possibly do.
not have the child support there.
I mean, I still don't believe that about the child support issue.
And why? Because he wants to take a vacation?
I wasn't taking a vacation.
That's not fair.
I had left one job to go to another job.
This is not going to hinder his relationship with his son.
I'll be there as much as I could possibly be there for my son.
Him to be happy and me to be happy.
All parties in the matter of Carino versus Bryson. Step forward, please.
Dental office manager Regina Carino is suing her ex-fiancé, electrician Ryan Brightson, for house payments. Ryan is countersuing, claiming Regina stole property from the home after they broke up.
The background of this case is simple, even though pretty stupid on your part. You were engaged and you decided to buy a house together. So clearly you don't pay attention to what I say. You don't buy anything jointly. A car, a house, a boat, a trailer, a truck, and anything, unless you're married, right? Okay. Your problem is that after you bought this house, the relationship went south, and shortly after you moved out, he stopped paying the mortgage. You paid the mortgage, according to you, for how many months?
From November till March.
November, December, January, February, March, the house was sold.
Yes.
So you paid it for 4 months or 5?
5.
5 months. You made the mortgage payment for 5 months, and when you sold the house, there was a profit, and the profit was $8,000. So each of you took $4,000. And what you want is, you want him to give you back the money that you spent on the mortgage when you weren't living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Which amounts to how much?
Just for the mortgage alone, totals up to $3,109.68.
What were the mortgage payments each month?
They varied depending. I was waiting on the defendant to make the payment, which some months it were different because it added a late fee.
I see. And then you say that he purchased some electronic equipment on a credit card that both of you had?
Yeah, it was in both our names. It was
Also,
after we
dumb,
separated.
dumb, stupid. You don't pay attention. You don't listen. You don't get a credit card with somebody jointly if you're not married. Even when you're married, sometimes it's stupid. But for sure, when you're not married, it's stupid to have a joint credit card.
Yes.
And you say that electronic equipment was bought for the house.
It was actually for his vehicle, and I didn't find out
For his
until I got
car?
the bill. Yes.
For his car. And he didn't pay the credit card bill off.
No, I'm still paying on it.
Well, that's what happens when you take out a joint credit card. So I'm going to deal with the mortgage payments only. Now, you have a cross-claim, and your cross-claim is that she and or her boyfriend broke into the house when you weren't there and stole electronic equipment. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Furniture also.
What proof do you have that they stole this equipment?
I have my witness was going to come, but he couldn't come, Your Honor, because
Well, then what-
I can give you his number. You can call him.
I don't do that.
I got proof that I have pictures of my furniture.
Listen to me.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
proof do you have that the plaintiff and her boyfriend broke into your house to present to me today? If you have none, I will dismiss your case without prejudice. You can go file it again if you have proof. But without a witness, since you weren't home, you were in Florida, according to you, I can't make a determination that anybody committed a felony. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So let's stay with this house payment. Now, let us assume that she made and that she has records for $3,109 worth of mortgage payments that she made when she wasn't living in the house. You were living in the house. According to you, you fell on bad financial times.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Yes, ma'am. I did.
Well, then why say no? Is it no or is it yes?
It's yes. The very last month, I did not pay her because we were receiving a settlement from the closure of the house, and I said you can just take it out of that. But the other 4 months, I did pay, Your Honor.
Show me.
I
4
gave her
months.
straight cash, and she doesn't give me receipts or anything like that. I gave her straight cash on.
Mr. Brightson, show me bank accounts where you took out the cash from the bank account to give her.
It was all on trust, Your Honor.
No, you don't trust. A bank doesn't trust, sir. A bank doesn't trust. You said
We were still good friends.
Listen to me. You said that you gave her the money for the mortgage payment in cash every month.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have a receipt.
No, ma'am.
Now, you're not living together. You're not together. So the smart thing would have been either you write a check or you get a money order so you have some sort of a receipt. But okay.
We were friends.
Oh,
Sorry.
so I said to you, well, if you didn't have a check or a money order, show me your bank statement where you withdrew money from your bank every month to give her in cash.
Didn't, Your Honor.
You didn't. You kept it under the mattress. You accumulated the money
Yes,
every
ma'am, I
month
never
under the
kept my
mattress.
money in my bank
Do you
account.
know that I don't believe you, sir?
I never keep my money in the bank. I
No,
promise.
you never keep the money in the bank. What do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician.
You paid in cash?
Yes, ma'am.
When's the last time you filed tax returns?
Last year,
What did you say you earned last year?
32 grand.
And were you working for yourself or were you working for somebody else?
Working for a company.
What's the name of the company?
Electric.
And Electric paid you in cash?
No, ma'am.
Electric paid you by check.
Yes, ma'am.
So if Electric paid you by check, where did you put your check every week?
I went and cashed it and I put it in my pocket.
Where did you cash it?
At the bank, at my bank.
You see how you're getting to be tripping over your tie there, sir? So you have a bank.
Yes, ma'am. But I don't put money in the bank. I use it to
No, what
cash
do you-
my check.
They don't cash your check, sir, unless you keep money in the bank.
$5.
Do you know that he honestly believes he's smarter than I am? Something happens to your brain, I think, when you have all that work done.
He just don't know you very well.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Because according to your answer, I'm going to read you what you wrote, but you probably forgot because you're not so smart. And what you swore to. My roommate got laid off and my income wasn't enough to cover the bills, so I told Regina I was going to have to file for bankruptcy because I couldn't afford to pay off my debt. Regina didn't want the house to go into foreclosure, so she decided she would pay the mortgage.
For the
That's
one
what you
month.
said.
For the one
That's
month,
what
the
you-
very last month.
No,
And
sir.
I was going to file bankruptcy on my credit cards.
Listen to me, sir. A house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month.
She was just running her
Listen to
mouth.
me.
Just
Listen to me.
exaggerating.
Listen to me. A house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month. You just told me a moment ago, I have a very good memory, Mr. Brightson. You just told her, well, take it out for the 1 month because we were closing in 1 month on the sale. And I'm telling you that a house doesn't go into foreclosure in 1 month, especially when you have a sale. So I believe her that she paid the mortgage from November when you say you fell on hard times and your roommate lost his job and you couldn't afford to pay all of your bills. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $3,109. But Ms. Carino, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
You should have taken care of all of this business when you closed on the house. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
What state do you live in?
Virginia.
Do you have attorneys when you close on property or do you do that yourselves?
We did have an attorney at the time.
You had one lawyer? Did you raise the issue of the fact that he owed you money with your lawyer?
Yes, he wasn't going to have it. So
He wasn't gonna have it.
Yeah,
He
he
wasn't gonna
didn't
have
want me to get my share.
He's a loser. Forget about it. You're much better off. Got it?
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's bogus.
I think she did what she knew was right.
I don't know what the problem is. I paid her.
We had a verbal agreement what was coming with me and what was staying.
They are broke because they're just poor and they were trying to get some extra money, so they got it.
I have actually less than he has. So
Him and her stole my furniture out of my house when I was in Florida, got the key from the realtor,
we didn't break into a house.
and took everything, wiped me out. I had nothing.
He knew we were going there, and his friend called him and he said, don't worry about
She
it.
got over $3,000 worth of furniture. She shouldn't have to worry about anything else.
I'm not going to leave him everything and leave me nothing.
Yeah, never buy anything with somebody.
Try not to get in the same situation.
Tried to get custody of my daughter.
A desperate father.
He called the police and they were coming to take my daughter.
How far would he go?
She would not let me see my daughter.
He's a liar.
Her son was in jail.
No, he hasn't.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Judge Judy.
He's called the police on me.
What do you mean?
He's just called the police on me for nothing.
What does that mean?
He wasn't in drug. He was.
I don't believe you.
Paralegal Donnell Walker is suing the mother of his child, preschool teacher Sharon Cowley, for filing false police charges. Sharon is countersuing, also for false charges and harassment.
Yeah, this is case number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Cowley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant had a relationship of sorts. You have a child together, and according to you, she filed an application for an order of protection against you in which she made some false allegations. You want to be compensated for the false allegations, time away from work, your humiliation, etc., etc.
Right.
The defendant says that what she says was true, that she was not granted ultimately an order of protection after a trial because there wasn't enough evidence, and that she is counterclaiming because she says that you have filed numerous reports about her with Child Protective Services and the police, and they were all lies. So she's counterclaiming. Okay. How old is your child?
She's 8 years old.
Did the two of you ever live together?
No.
Do you have visitation regularly with your daughter?
Yes.
So when was the last time you saw your daughter?
I saw her the Saturday before Father's Day. The last time I saw her.
Why is that?
I live 2.5 hours away, and I drive up there to see my daughter. And until that, I won the case on April 24th because she had filed order of protection through her allegations of me harassing her. She would not let me see my daughter, and they gave her an order of protection.
Ms. Cowley, I want you to tell me why you filed an application for an order of protection.
Because he harassed me on the phone.
Well, tell me what he did.
He called me on my phone at one time. He told me you owe
When?
me. That was in November of 2001.
When did you file an application for an order of protection?
After the second harassment on the phone, which was in September 18th of 2002.
So a year later, he did something else to you. And what did he do a year later?
He called me on the phone and told me that he called the police and they were coming to get me and he was coming to take my daughter. So I got tired of that and
Just a second.
Okay.
Did he tell you why?
Yes, he told me I was a drug dealer.
That was on September 18th?
Well, September 16th, and I filed the papers on September 18th.
I'd like to see the papers that you filed.
Yes.
And that's what he said to you, Ms. Cowley.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That he's tired of dealing with you, that you were a drug dealer, he called the police and he's going to come and take your daughter from you.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let me see the application that you filed. Let me see if it was... It doesn't say anything about that in your application for an order of protection, Ms. Cowley. It says that on or about September 17th, this is what you say in your petition. You say that he arrived at your home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He wanted to see his daughter, and he made belittling remarks about you in front of your daughter. He called you a stupid... You didn't say that just now. You told me a different story. You told me he called you on the phone.
He did.
Well, that doesn't say that here.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
Yes, we and I went down to car and we had to go back to court.
Are you not following what I'm saying to you? I asked you, why did you feel as if you were in fear of the petitioner so that you should file a petition for an order of protection? You told me about two dates. You told me about November of 2001 and September 16th, 2002, both of which were telephone calls. That's what you told me.
Well, I had been upset because he called me quite a few times, and when he came to visit my daughter, he had sent the police to my house. And what made me fear him is because he told me he had a gun in his car under his front seat. He told me about how he was going to hurt his first children's mother, and that's what made me feel as though I had to file an order of protection against him.
And the judge threw out the case?
Yes.
Rightly so. You're giving me a lot of who shot John. You abused the system. You were getting even with him for something. Is there a case involving custody and visitation in 2002?
Yes.
May I speak?
Yes.
In the 2002 custody case, I went for custody of my daughter. She has a 26-year-old son there who sells drugs. I tried to get custody of my daughter due to that issue right there. He's been in boot camp, and he's also been in jail for selling drugs. When he was 16, I asked her to let me put her son in the Job Corps. She says no. I said, you'd rather have your son selling drugs than be in a Job Corps? And she actually said, I'd rather have him here. That's what he's selling drugs. 2 weeks later, he got busted because it was a shootout.
Mr. Walker,
and what happened
to the custody case?
She never even showed up to court. Here's the paper right here. I highlighted it for you. She never even showed up to court. It's right there. And the order, it's right in the order. And
Just a minute. I assume that the law guardian advised the judge that the child should remain with her mother. Is that right?
Yes, but there's some extreme circumstances that I need to clear up. I was a paralegal for this responsible fatherhood program. I caught a judge in Rochester lying on me, and a deputy chief clerk, and also a cop lying on me. So I filed with the FBI, the Inspector General's office, and 3 other federal agencies. And it's like a blacklist on me. That's why I moved away from Rochester to Elmira, because they put like a blacklist on me in regards to employment in Rochester due to me catching this judge lying on me. They used her as a tool to get after me. I have never threatened her. She knows I never did anything to her.
For the first 6 years of your daughter's life, did you have regular visitation?
Yes, I did. Her son was in jail. When he got back out of jail, I drove up to her house, and she lives in an area where they sell drugs right at the street corner. I'm looking at him coming up the street corner selling drugs. I tried to get my daughter out of it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believe that your son has been in serious difficulty involving drugs.
He wasn't, though, Judge Judy.
I don't believe you, madam.
Does he have police records?
I don't believe you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donnell Walker says the mother of his child, Sharon Cowley, filed false charges with the police. Sharon says he threatened to use a gun.
All right. I think that she lied in order to get an order of protection, sir. I do.
Judge Judy, may I speak, please?
Sure.
Now, he knows that I'm not lying. What made me fear him the most, he hit a policeman's son in the face with a basketball.
What does that have to do with you?
It made me nervous because he kept coming to my house threatening me.
Miss Cowley, I was very, very clear, madam. I said to you, when you filed your application for an order of protection, you filed it for reasons. I want you to tell me the reasons that you filed a petition for an order of protection. And you said two things. One happened in November of 2001, and that was a phone call. And the next thing that happened was another phone call where he said to you, I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to come and get my daughter. That you considered a threat. And then you add this stuff about guns. Now, to me, if I asked the person why they felt threatened, they would have said to me right away, he threatened me with a gun. That might have caught my attention, but that's not what you said. So I believe that you were using the court system, which fortunately did not grant you an order of protection, because I think if you had an order of protection against him, you would have abused it. And I'm awarding him $1,000 on his application. Now I'm going to hear your cross-complaint.
Okay.
You say he's called the police on you and your family on numerous occasions.
Yes.
Okay? Tell me about that, Ms. Calloway.
Okay, Judge Judy, now, the 3 times that he's come to see my daughter, he's called the police on me.
What do you mean he's called the police on
He's
you?
just called the police on me for nothing.
What does that mean? You mean they've come with him?
He's called them before he's come to my house.
And done what?
Told them that I'm a drug dealer and he has to get my daughter out of the house. And he would have a problem getting her out of the house for visitation.
Are you telling me that he comes to the house with a police officer in order to pick up his daughter?
Yes.
He's allowed to do that.
What? But
He's allowed to do that because what he says is, I'm not going there without a police escort because I don't trust her.
yes.
I don't trust her, A, not to create trouble, to say I bothered her or harassed her, and B, I don't trust her not to give me my daughter for visitation. So I'm going to ask the police to come with me. He has an absolute right to do that.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the right to harass me.
How is he harassing you? You haven't told
By
me how he's
sending the
harassing
police there all the time for nothing when he's come before and pick her up with no problem until he had to go to court.
Give me a time when he called police, when he did not come himself.
Oh, I have it marked on the calendar. He called them 3 times on me. All of these are no-shows where he did not come for his visit, starting from the beginning when we went to court.
Well, tell me what the police said when they came to your house.
When they came to the house, they came in and said that he called the police because he said gushes of marijuana smoke was coming out the door. We don't smoke in my house because my daughter has chronic asthma.
Where was your son?
He doesn't live with me.
Where was your son?
He wasn't there.
Has your son ever been incarcerated for drugs?
No, he hasn't, Judge Judy.
I don't believe that.
Well,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
He hasn't been locked up for drugs or anything.
Really?
Really?
Never been involved with drugs?
He wasn't in drugs. He was sent to Willard for smoking drugs. That's what he wasn't. He says that he was selling drugs.
Scally, you have no case. He's entitled to say his child was not living under good circumstance.
Well,
he has an absolute right to do that. And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't know why you've waited so long, sir. I don't know what kind of investigation they did with regard to the home situation. I assume that in Monroe County, they send out an investigator to do an investigation of both homes. I can only hope it happens. But I will tell you now, this case was not heard before a family court judge. It was heard before a referee because it was a default. It was her default because she didn't show up.
Right.
Now, you have the ability to file objections to this hearing officer's report.
I will be filing it when I get back to Rochester.
Well, I suppose that's a good idea. In any event, your counterclaim is dismissed, Ms. Cowley.
Judge Judy, may I speak? This was from a judge. This is where they gave me custody of my daughter after Child Protective came out.
I'm not talking about custody of your daughter, madam. I believe that your son has been in serious difficulty with the law involving drugs, that there was drug use in the house with your daughter present. That's something that a father can be concerned. Don't say no when the answer is yes.
He wasn't, though, Judge Judy.
I don't believe you, madam.
Does he have police records?
I don't believe you. I believe that your son was doing drugs in the house and not selling them. I didn't say selling them. You said smoking them.
Judge Judy, I have a paper right here where he accused me and my son and my daughter of being drug dealers.
Well, how do I know that's not true?
But because the Child Protective came to my house 3 unannounced times to find out if it was true.
And I want to tell you something. They couldn't find out if they came to your house 30 times to find out if you were selling drugs in your house, if you didn't want them to find out that you were selling drugs in the house. I don't want to hear it. Madam, he has the right, understanding that your son was a drug abuser, to question whether or not that house was a safe environment for his child. You do not have the right to, based upon the fact that you were annoyed, file an application for an order of protection without basis. You did that. I am awarding him $1,000 on his complaint, and I am dismissing your cross-complaint for him filing police reports and asking them to do an investigation as to whether or not there was drug activity in the house where his 8-year-old is living. I think that was appropriate.
It's not
Goodbye.
true. He's a liar. If he was so concerned about me selling drugs in my house, why didn't he come visit her more often?
I had to go to court to just to see my daughter, and before I would just pick her up.
Sometimes truth doesn't really come out.
What's going to happen? My daughter's going to grow up and see for herself that her mother's a liar.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Presidowski versus Suggs. Step forward, please.
United States Marine Joseph Przekowski is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old lease administrator Amy Suggs, for her share of a credit card debt.
Mr. Przekowski, you claim that the defendant, who is your former girlfriend, owes you for some credit card debt.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that, yes, in fact, she did agree to pay half of the credit card debt that the two of you had accumulated while you were together, but then she had second thoughts about it after she made some payments, and she feels as if she should not have to pay that because she was sort of pressured into making the agreement. Is that your defense?
Not exactly.
Well, what's your defense?
There were extenuating circumstances when we separated, and I feel like I was taken advantage of in the situation. Not necessarily that I just decided I didn't want to make payments anymore.
Well, let's start with the fact that the two of you lived together.
Yes.
And that you had this credit card that had built up how much in debt, sir?
When we separated, it was at $6,500 and some change, ma'am.
And you agreed to split that debt in half?
Yes, ma'am, we
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you separated when?
About the 20th of July of 2002, ma'am, or of January.
20th of January?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did make payments up until March of 2003?
Correct.
And then stopped?
Right.
Okay, now explain why.
When we separated, I was in a situation where I was in North Carolina with my son, an 8-year-old, by myself. Joe had made reference several times to being in relationships before where everything had been taken away from him. I needed to get out of the relationship, and I was concerned that when we separated, it wouldn't be as easy as I wanted it to be. Not only was I alone in North Carolina, but I had no friends there to help me in my situation. When the discussion came up about us separating, I agreed not to take anything with me that he would have to replace, and I agreed to pay half of the credit card.
What do you mean you agreed not to take anything that he would have to replace?
Well,
what did you take with you?
I took my son's bedroom furniture, my personal belongings, my clothing, some extra dishes.
You took dishes? Go ahead. What else?
And I believe I took a hope chest, a cedar hope chest.
Anything else that you took, sir?
She took the computer and also a china hutch for the kitchen.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, yes.
You left the computer out, and you left the china hutch out, right?
Right.
Was the computer purchased on the credit card?
It was purchased on a totally separate credit card that was already paid off by this time, ma'am.
Was anything that was taken by the defendant items that had been purchased on the credit card?
No, ma'am. Basically, the credit card was used for both our children's Christmas and birthdays and things for around the house.
Okay. You haven't convinced me so far, Miss Suggs. All I hear is a lot of excuses. You want to take one last shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When we separated, majority of our furniture that we had accumulated together, we either brought into a relationship or bought while we were together. He kept all of it. I don't have anything to show for that. A few measly pieces of furniture.
Did you ask for anything else?
I wanted more things, but I wasn't in a position to ask because I was by myself. I didn't know how he would react, how he would respond.
Well, then you didn't ask for it. Then you took whatever you said you wanted.
Not only did I have to refurnish an entire apartment, I paid him $1,300, in addition to the fact that at the time we separated, he was making probably twice as much as I was.
All of those are excuses. You were living together as a family. You had a child. Did you have children?
I have a son from a previous marriage that doesn't live with me, but he'd come and visit, ma'am.
Your son would come and visit, and your child lived with you. So you had this credit card that was used for your family. He agreed to pay for half. You agreed to pay for half. And I was right when I said later on, after you made some payments, you had second thoughts.
No, I didn't have second thoughts. All along, I felt like I had been taken advantage of.
You made the deal. Live by it. Stop being a crybaby. You made the deal. That's the deal. Stop having second thoughts about it. How come you didn't have second thoughts and say, you know, I really should give him the entire amount? How come it's always, I have second thoughts, I don't think I'm going to give him anything?
Because I didn't trust that he would leave me alone. I gave him all
that's
the furniture
unfortunate,
and
madam. You haven't told me any reason why you didn't trust him. Because he had another bad relationship or he ended up on the short end of the stick financially? That was your reason? Miss Suggs, be a grown-up. You made the deal. You live by it. The check will be drawn to the card company, which will clear your credit, sir, of $2,481.65. That's all. Step
Where's
out.
our excuse? You may step out.
I'm just glad to see it's all over with and I won't have to deal with it anymore.
It wasn't really too bad until, like I said, in March when she decided to stop making payments. Everything was going okay until then.
I felt like I was taken advantage of and I still do.
She needed to find herself and move on, and I guess I wasn't in the picture.
you were the caregiver for the defendant's grandmother.
She was a nurse for the elderly.
So what condition they were living in, people shouldn't have to live like that.
But what will be uncovered
Her grandmother changed the insurance policy, making you the beneficiary.
may prove this caretaker is taking too much.
The signature on this new policy was not your grandmother's signature.
That is not her signature.
Is that correct?
Judge Judy, caregiver Dorothy Rochelle, is suing her deceased client's granddaughter, litigation secretary Joyce Martin, for slander and pain and suffering. Joyce says Dorothy took out a life insurance policy on her grandmother.
All rise. Now, this is case number 271 on the calendar in the matter of Rochelle versus Martin.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Rochelle, you were the caregiver for the defendant's grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
Who passed away on the 31st?
24th of January.
24th of January. It is your claim that the defendant slandered you by claiming that you took some money that you shouldn't have. That was her grandmother's money.
Yes.
I think that was in Social Security checks. That because she said that you had taken those checks and you weren't authorized to at that time, the money was taken out of your account, causing other checks that you wrote to bounce. So what you're suing her for is $5,000 for the aggravation that you had and the bounce check fees, etc., and also for slandering you.
Yes.
Ms. Martin is going to explain to me what happened. She says that this whole thing is really about an insurance policy that you had on the life of her grandmother, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let me try to place this in perspective. Okay. Ms. Rochelle, when did you start to act as the caregiver for Miss Martin's grandmother?
In May of 1999.
What was wrong with her grandmother?
She couldn't walk very well due to rheumatoid arthritis, and she's a diabetic also, so she didn't get around very well.
Was your grandfather alive at the time?
In 99, yes, he was.
So were you caring for both of
I
them?
cared for him also, yes.
Were you living in or just?
Yes, I was living in.
Who hired you?
I wasn't really hired. I come here, they were my godparents. I moved here from Kansas City because I was here in December prior to May of 1999.
Oh, so you knew that they were your
Yes, I knew
godparents?
them.
I
Yes.
didn't realize that.
So when I got there in December and saw what condition they were living in, I mean, adults, people shouldn't have to live like that. So when I went back home, I couldn't rest, so I came back out to try to get their home and get them in living condition, and I was going to go back home. I figured everybody else would take care of them. It didn't happen, so I was here till they both died.
So your grandfather died first?
Yes, he had Alzheimer's and other conditions.
So he had Alzheimer's?
Yes.
But not her grandmother?
No.
She just had physical problems?
Physical problems. She was very strong mentally.
Okay. And it was agreed that the Social Security checks were to be direct deposited into your account?
Well, it was agreed that that's how she would pay me, yes.
So she was paying you?
Yeah, the last year, the first 2 years I worked for, took care of her and Mrs. Spivey with no pay.
How much was she paying you?
June of 2002, she started paying me $1,100 a month. But prior to that, she wasn't paying me anything.
Just a second. Now, was that $1,100 her Social Security check?
Yes.
Now, when did you leave the employ of, what was your grandmother's name?
Mrs. Alberta Spivey.
When did you leave Miss Spivey's employ?
I came home one Friday evening, and she explained to me that Monday, which would be the 28th, that she would be going to the hospital and from there to a nursing home.
Okay. Now, that you claim that she told somebody at the bank that you'd stolen money or taken money. What money?
I have an affidavit with a check that Miss Martin accused me of stealing, which was a check that I received every month for Mrs. Spivey. But Mrs. Spivey,
What month?
November 1st.
Well, you weren't in her employ in November.
But she still expected me to take care of her. I was her sole provider.
No. She left on October 28th. November
Yes.
1st. You got the check. It should have been returned. Is that the check we're talking
The
about?
arrangement we made was that when Mrs. Spivey came to me in April of 2002, she didn't pay me for April. So when she left, by her not giving me a 30-day notice, I was supposed to keep November's payment also. That's the arrangement we made.
That's hearsay, madam. If she left your home on October 28th,
okay,
and if Miss Martin complained that you had taken November's check and appropriated it for yourself, and it was a Social Security check, then she didn't slander you. Is that the check you're complaining about?
Well, Mrs. Martin had no arrangement with Mrs. Spivey's my arrangement, you know. I mean, there's no written document saying I get this every month, I do that. You know, I cast a check, she'll give me what she
Well,
wanted.
if there's no written document, then you can't take her Social Security. Her Social Security goes to her. So if that's what you're complaining about, Miss Rochelle, your complaint is falling on deaf ears. She says that this is all about an insurance policy, and I'm sort of curious about that insurance policy. When did Miss Spivey take out an insurance policy naming you as beneficiary?
She had the insurance policy in 2001, but when she came to live with me, she complained the whole time. We talked previously on the phone.
Just answer my questions. You can't tell me what she said to me. She's not here.
August, I believe, of 2002.
August of 2002, she changed the insurance policy, making you the beneficiary.
Yes.
Who had previously been the beneficiary?
Her daughter in Topeka, Kansas.
And where did she go when she changed the insurance policy? Did she go to somebody's office or did somebody come to her?
The insurance agent, which is present here in the court, he came to our home and took out the policy.
Who was the insurance agent?
Mr. Harvey.
Step up, please. Your last name is Harvey?
Yes.
May I interject for a moment, sir?
Yes.
The insurance policy prior to August 20th had lapsed. So a new application was issued August 20th, 2002, and this is the application to which plaintiff is referring.
So in August, when you came to the house, sir, she did not have insurance.
Correct.
Had you been Ms. Spivey's insurance agent previously on the old policy?
No.
And when you came to the house, you wrote up another insurance policy and named a different beneficiary. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know.
Is that correct, that you wrote up another policy with a new beneficiary?
Correct.
Just answer my question.
Well, I didn't know
sir.
who the first beneficiary was.
Who determined, Ms. Martin, that the signature on this new policy was not your grandmother's signature?
The policy issued in August 20th, 2002 is her signature. The policy was amended in November. That is the signature my mother and I have disputed with Guarantee Life Insurance. That is not her signature.
What do you mean the policy was amended in November?
Okay.
Was the policy amended in November?
It was increased.
From what to what?
10 to 15,000.
November what?
About mid-month.
I have the
Who
exact
called
date, Your
you to
Honor.
increase the policy?
Miss Rochelle.
Miss Rochelle, who was no longer taking care of Miss Spivey. Is that right?
I was taking care of Miss Spivey. I was
No,
running
she-
back and forth to the nursing home taking care of her. Yes, I was.
On November 8th, she was not in the nursing home. She was at Brotman Medical Center.
Well, I was out there also. Records can show that too.
But also, Your Honor, this policy is a joint whole life policy with my uncle and my grandmother. My uncle was incarcerated through at least January 19th, 2003. His signature also appears on both applications. I don't see how that's possible.
I don't know either, but are you still in litigation with regard to that second policy?
We were told by Guarantee that the policy would not be paid.
And it has not been paid, is that right?
Yes.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
He just all of a sudden started shaking the car, pushing it back and forth. Then he just swan dives on top of my roof. I said, I'm going to call the cops. He says, you want me off your car? Come down here and make me get off your car.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Caregiver Dorothy Rochelle claims her deceased client's granddaughter, Joyce Martin, falsely accused her of stealing. Joyce says Dorothy took out a life insurance policy on her grandmother.
All right, not so hard. Miss Rochelle, you had no right to keep in your account Miss Spivey's Social Security check for the month of November of 2002. You were no longer taking care of her. The $1,100 was to provide for her care. She was either in a hospital or she was in a nursing home during the month of November. Both of those facilities were entitled to a piece of her Social Security check, not you. Ms. Martin.
Yes, ma'am.
She has a very simplistic lawsuit here. Her lawsuit says that you accused her of stealing money, of using money that she wasn't entitled to.
Correct.
And I've just told her that she wasn't entitled to that money that she had in her bank account. Okay. And that if, because of your complaint, that money was withdrawn from her bank account and she suffered damages because other checks bounced, that's too bad.
That's correct.
Too bad. She had no right to keep that money. It was a Social Security check. I've answered you. You had no right to keep the money. You may disagree with me. That's your problem. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye. Good luck.
Parties are excused. Step out.
I took care of this woman, grandmother and grandfather, for 4 years. She was too good to take care of them.
The package I brought with me today are the remains of my grandmother.
That she got the audacity to take me to court when she never came around.
I had her here for moral support today.
She had her girlfriends and everything she's sleeping laying up with, but she couldn't take care of her grandmother. I did it, put my life on hold, and I'm the bad guy now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Massey versus Walker. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Katrina Massey is suing her former neighbor, 21-year-old student Austin Walker, for damaging her car when he jumped on the roof.
Miss Massey, defendant was an acquaintance or a friend of yours, and you claim that he was acting like an idiot and a fool and dented your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Jumping up and down on your car. So why don't you tell me when this happened and tell me what happened?
This happened on May 7th of 2003. What happened was I was inside of my apartment complex, in which we share the same apartment complex. I stay on the third floor.
You're on the third floor, he's on the...
On the lower level, right beside my car. Yes, ma'am. And so he calls me, he and his roommate called me to the window of my apartment, which is my bedroom. So I go to the window, we start having a regular conversation like any other, and I do know him.
What time is this?
Like around 7 o'clock.
Okay, go ahead.
So we're having a conversation, and then all of a sudden he starts like joking about my car. My car is small, and he starts joking about my car, and then he just starts shaking the car. And I'm like, what are you doing?
What is he saying about your car?
Just about, you know, how small it is, and look at this little car, and such and such and such. And he's always done little ignorant stuff and say little ignorant jokes to get my attention, because he does like me.
Because he's ignorant.
And he is. And so, you know, he does little stuff like that to get my attention. For instance, there's been times where he and his roommate both.
I don't want to hear about
Okay.
other times. Let's just stick to it. I have enough trouble dealing with this time.
Okay, well, so then anyway, he's talking about the car, and then he just all of a sudden starts shaking the car.
How was he shaking it?
Beside it, pushing it back and forth, rocking the car.
Where were his hands when he was rocking?
On the rim, like where the door would close at the top of the roof, right here. Like this, where the glass would be right here, and his hands were on the top of the roof.
So how is he pushing the car? Is he pushing the car up and down, or?
Pushing it, shaking it. His roommate was on the other side, which was the driver's side, with his hands in the same position, so the car was rocking back and forth. So then he continues to laugh and joke, and, you know, I'm like, get off my car, stop playing with my car. Then he just swan dives on top of my roof. So I'm like, what are you doing? Ah, ha, 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 laughing and joking, whatever, with his roommate going back and forth. I got upset and started cursing. Then we get into an argument. He jumps off the car and does it again, like that, on top of my roof again. So then we have another argument. I said, I'm going to call the cops. Oh, I don't give a, you know, cursing and everything. Call the cops. Call the cops. I don't care. He says, you want me off your car? Come down here and make me get off your car. So then I went downstairs. He was still laying on the roof of my car. I said, if you don't get off the car, I'm going to get in it and pull off. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't care. Go ahead. And
Is that what she did? She got in the car and drove off with you on top of the car?
No, I wasn't on top of her car.
Oh, okay.
He was on top of my car, Your Honor. And then I got in the car. I cranked it up. He's still laying on the car. I told him again, Austin, get off of my car. I'm not getting in the car. Make me get off the car. So I pressed the gas. As soon as I drove and he jumped off the car, I drove off.
Okay. Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Yes, ma'am. The first picture is to show you how small the car really is compared to my height and his. Then there's pictures of the dents. There's pictures of the windshield guard that was ripped off. And there was also pictures of his handprints on top of my car, in which they're huge, so you can tell they're not my handprints at all. And when I realized that my windshield guard was broken off, I came back to the apartment complex and told him, look what you did to my car. He and his roommate.
What's this mark here?
His handprints.
This?
That was paint that was already gone. That was gone
yeah.
before he touched the car.
Right, I didn't think, because it looks rusted.
Yeah, that was already gone.
Okay, now let me hear your version, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Well, my roommate had picked me up from work earlier that day, and we came home. We were outside talking, like we usually do sometimes before just going in the house, and we were dribbling the basketball. And we were outside talking, and then familiar voice from upstairs comes out screaming, "What are you guys doing out there?" She always talked to us from the third window before, nothing different. So, dribbling the ball, and my roommate was dribbling the ball, and it got away from him, and it went over by her car. And this when she was like, "You guys better stay away from my car." And I said, "No, the ball's not gonna do anything to your car." So we started talking back and forth again, and this time we were sitting there, we were actually talking to her through the window still. And since she came downstairs and we were outside, and my roommate was sitting by her car, and we were sitting by.
Don't close your eyes, sir. Keep
My roommate
them
was
open.
sitting by her car. His car was parked right next to her, so we're in between his car and her car. And she's still saying, "Don't sit around my car." So it comes to the fact that I stood behind her car, my roommate stood in front of her car, and she said, "You guys get away from my car, I'm going to pull off and I'm going to hit one of you."
When did she come downstairs? She's up on the third floor.
She came downstairs while we were still dribbling the ball. She came down, just got out the window. Next thing you know, she was downstairs talking to us. So we were downstairs and we were talking still, and she tried to get in her car, and she was going to back up and hit my roommate. He got out the way. She pulled out like she still was going to hit him. Then when she went to go hit him, she was pumping her brakes, like, you know, stopping, like she was going to hit him so he can get out the way. That's when I went to the side of her car and started rocking her car back and forth. At this time,
With her in it?
With her in it, yes. The plastic strip that protected the window
What were you
seal.
rocking her car for?
Because she was trying to hit my roommate, and I was just
Well,
trying
he can move pretty fast, can't you?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you rocking her car for?
I was rocking her car basically to get her attention because she was about to hit my roommate.
She wasn't going to hit your roommate. Even he wasn't worried. He could just take a step, right, sir?
I don't know about a step, but
You could get...
I could have died.
Sure you could, right, Mr. Walker?
Probably not. She was pretty close. He's not that fast.
Looks pretty fast to me. He was playing basketball with you, wasn't he?
We were just dribbling the ball. We weren't actually playing.
Was he dribbling it standing still, or was he
Yes.
moving around?
Just dribbling and standing still.
Mr. Walker.
It's possible. You just dribble the ball and stand
Mr.
still.
Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
So you start rocking her car back and forth.
And
And where were you just a second, where were you holding on to the car when you were rocking it back and forth?
Or she sat at the seal at the top, rocking it back and forth like this. And then that's when the plastic strip came off. She said, "Oh, you broke my car. You don't make you pay for that if you don't fix it." So I popped it back into place for her. So at this time, she pulled off, parked again, got out the car, said, "Well, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to pick up my boyfriend." So we stayed outside for another half hour talking. She rolled back up and said that how the piece fell off on the highway and I was going to pay for it. And then at that time, she said, "Well, it costs $113. Now it's a piece you can get at AutoZone for $15. And so I said I wasn't going to pay for it. So I'm not paying for that. So I went in the house, went about my business.
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Alonzo Frank.
Tell me your story.
I had went and picked my roommate up from work, and we came home, and we was outside just talking. I was just standing around dribbling the basketball, and he's like, "Pass it to him." So I passed it, and he got away from me. Like, I passed it a little too hard, and it rolled by his car. And that's when she came to the window, and she was like, "Y'all need to stay away from my car. Stop playing around my car." And we was like, "We're not playing around your car. Nobody's gonna hurt your car." And later on, she came down, and she was just like, "I need to get away from my car before I hit y'all with it."
Why would she say that if you were in your car? Maybe she was hallucinating. You think so?
Maybe.
You have a crush on her?
Not at all.
Little one?
Not at all.
Mr. Walker, you can't put your hands on other people's property. Even according to your own testimony, you put your hands on her car and you rocked her car back and forth. And I find that there was no basis for you to do that because all your friend had to do was step out of the way. And you did that because you were being a wise guy. She got a little dent on the top of her car. A little piece came off of her car. It's not a big deal. It's going to cost a few $100s to fix it, if she's going to fix it at all. She certainly didn't fix the rust spots that were there for a much longer period of time, right?
It was there when I bought the car.
And you certainly didn't fix it, right?
I don't work, so.
So I don't know how much this little dent that's on the hood of the car is going to trouble
That's
you. In
not
any
from
event,
the
you should be able to get the
dealership.
whole thing fixed for about $350, and that's what I'm awarding you, because you can't put your hands on somebody else's property, sir.
I do
you understand?
I do understand that,
Judgment
ma'am.
for the plaintiff in the amount of $350, that's all.
Oh, is excuse me. Step back.
He completely lied throughout the entire time.
The judge knew she was not telling the whole truth.
Every single sentence that came out of his mouth was a lie.
About liking her or whatever. That's funny to me.
He's actually told me to my face. He's actually said it to my roommates as well as his roommates.
I have no romantic interest in her at all.
Tell the truth.
They ain't broke, don't fix it.
You were hired during Christmas season at his store.
Yes. He's brought joy to children everywhere.
I enjoyed being Santa Claus at the mall.
He's touched the hearts of thousands.
He's a wonderful Santa Claus, and we really enjoyed having him work for us.
But this season, he's getting Scrooged.
He cut my pay to $5.15 an hour.
Did you do that?
Yes, we did.
Judge Judy.
Today's Christmas for you. To your complaint, to be Santa during Christmas season at his store or mall. Is that
At
right,
the
sir?
mall.
Is this your mall? Do you own the mall?
No, I don't,
No.
Your Honor.
Well, what do you do with the mall?
I operate a photo promotions company that specializes doing Christmas and Easter promotions in shopping centers.
And how long was the Christmas season?
6 weeks.
Okay. And you claim, Mr. Gorbach, that you quit.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you received your final paycheck, you were shorted in pay. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your defense is he gave you absolutely no notice, and that caused you some damage to your business.
Correct.
When did you start working for him, sir?
I started work on November 13th.
Did you answer an ad in the paper? Is that how you got the job?
No, I had visited the mall a number of times, and one of the photographers had called me over and told me to call Mr. Daggapone if I was interested in being a Santa Claus.
And you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were your duties explained to you?
Well, the only thing we discussed was pay. I was over the phone, and he had quoted me $12 an hour pay plus overtime and a bonus at the end of the shooting in insurance.
What kind of bonus?
Well, that was dependent on the amount of money they made.
Okay, never accept a bonus based upon what somebody else tells you they're going to make.
Yeah.
That's not smart business. Okay, so you worked for a while. What happened?
Well, when I first started working there, I kept time. In fact, I kept time the whole time I was working, the amount of hours I worked and the days that I worked. And when I got my first paycheck, I noticed that the pay was not $12 an hour, I was told, no overtime was included. It was only $8 an hour. So when I talked to Mr. Daggapone about this, he told me that I had misunderstood and that he had told me $8 an hour, but there'd be $1 an hour raise every year, and at the end of 4 years, I'd get $12 an hour.
At the end of 4 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Well, this was, an oral agreement, And I figured, well, I didn't have anything to back up on. And I was having a ball. I enjoyed being Santa Claus at the mall.
Were you working at another job as well?
I had a couple of daycare centers that I did Santa Claus for. And I enjoyed doing it. I've been doing that for years.
Okay, but other than that, you had no regular job?
No, ma'am, I'm retired.
You're retired.
So I decided, well, like I said, it's an old agreement. I can't back him up on it.
So you decided to work
So
for
I decided to go for the $8 an hour.
Okay.
So about 2 or 3 days later, Mr. Dagapont came up there and told me, Santa Claus is smiling too much. Quit smiling. I said, well, you know, everything I've read about Santa Claus, he's a jolly old elf. And I enjoyed having fun with the kids and all. And being as I was having fun, I would continue doing it. But when the job quit being fun, I was going to quit. So that ended that discussion. And then I think it was the following Thursday, when I was getting ready to leave the mall, 2 of the people in the mall came to me and told me I was going to hear some very bad news the next day, that they had overheard Mr. Dagapont talking to one of the little girl photographers.
All right, well, don't tell me what anybody else told you. What happened the next day?
Well, that Friday, Mr. Dagapont was in, and nothing. He worked there about 4 or 5 hours and left, and I didn't hear anything. But when we were closing down that night, one of the little girls called me over, the photographer called me over and said, Mr. Dagapont says he wants you to stay on the seat, the Santa Claus sled, the whole time you're here. Don't get up and go visit the children. Don't go visit the adults. You know, that'd be taken away from time. But when we're not taking pictures, that was fun. In fact, I encouraged quite a few people to come get pictures by just going out there and visiting them.
So you went out in the crowd?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, I stayed within the confines. We had a little fence, and I stayed within that.
But you didn't just sit in the sled?
I didn't sit in the sled the whole time.
Okay. And this was one of his employees that told you?
Yes, ma'am.
That you were to stay in the sled and
yes,
not
she said
mingle.
She was informed by Mr. Dagapont to tell me that this was the new regulation.
Okay. And you did, in fact, tell somebody that he was to stay in the sled?
As required by a contract with the shopping center.
Whatever. You did, in fact, make that statement. I just want to make sure. So it was after that, sir, that you quit?
Yes, ma'am. I called him that night and asked him what was the reason behind this. He told me the same thing. This is a requirement of the mall. And I said, well, I told you before, when the job quit being fun, I quit. So we had a lengthy discussion, and I told him, you know, tonight's Friday, have somebody else out here Saturday.
Okay.
And I quit.
Now, when you quit, sir, on that Friday, how much were you owed?
I had 46 hours I had worked at that time, according to my schedule.
Okay, so 46 hours, and it was $8 an hour that you agreed to work for.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's $368, right?
Every day.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dagapont, let's hear you.
Your Honor, Mr. Garbash is a wonderful Santa Claus, and we really enjoyed having him work for us. But he has a little problem with math. I've brought the official records that are kept by the managers in the booth, as well as a copy of how he added the hours up, and I think if you look at it, you'll see that the math is incorrect.
How many hours do you say you owed him, sir?
The last paycheck, we owed him 37.5 hours.
Okay. Did you pay him?
Yes, we did.
You did pay him?
We issued him a check, yes, ma'am.
Did you ever get a check from them for 38 hours?
37 and a half hours.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do with that check?
I contacted Mr. Dagapont, and I asked him why I was not getting paid, first of all, for the $8 an hour that I was supposed to be getting paid, and that I was shorted hours.
Just a second, you mean he paid you less than $8 an hour?
Yes, ma'am. He cut my pay to $5.15 an hour.
Did you do that?
Yes, we did.
Why did you do that, sir? That's going to cost you money.
The fact that the contract, that oral contract that we had with Mr. Garbash was one that he had agreed to work till December 24th. But he not only didn't work to December 24th, he quit 20 days early, failed to give us any reasonable time to find a replacement, even though we begged him to. And I just felt that
unilaterally cut his pay.
I felt that he breached the contract and I was no longer required to pay the agreed amount.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen, I wasn't born yesterday. Being a Santa Claus at this man's age is not something that you sign on for with an annuity. You don't say, well, if you're a good Santa Claus, in 4 years, we're going to give you more money.
And later today,
You left the defendant with your father's phone card.
Right.
Your father got a whopping bill.
She made $849 worth of phone calls plus taxes and fees, which came out to $1,015.
Big talker.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Father phone card. Sit.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Department store Santa Melvin Gorbash says promoter Don Dagapont owes him for work. Don says Melvin breached the contract when he didn't show up for work.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question, Mr. Dagapont. Mr. Gorbach, I believe, based upon what little I've seen of him, wasn't doing this job for money, necessarily, because if he was doing the job just for money, he certainly wouldn't have quit. Right?
Right.
He had a good time doing it.
I agree.
He's retired. You get a pension, sir? Or-
Yes, I'm on medical retirement.
So, he doesn't need these extra couple of bucks. Tell me about the $12 an hour that you discussed with him when you spoke on the phone. Did you ever say to him, Mr. Dagapont, salary is between $8 and $12 an hour?
I told him the salary was $8 an hour, yes.
You mean he's just making up the fact that $12 an hour was mentioned someplace in your conversation?
Well, I may have said that we pay Santa Clauses between $8 and $12, but starting Santa Claus is
That's
making
what I
$8.
just said, Mr. Dagapont.
Well, you asked me.
That you pay him between $8 and $12 an hour. So he didn't get the $12 an hour out of nowhere.
Right.
Now, you did, in fact, have a conversation with him after he got his first week's pay, and he called you and said, what happened to the $12 an hour?
No, he didn't say that.
He never called you after he got his...
He met with me personally and said...
Met with you personally. So he
Where
never...
are the $10? He never mentioned 12, he mentioned 10. But he has a little problem with math, so I'm not surprised that he didn't know 10 and 12 are different numbers.
Mr. Dagapont, he had a conversation with you, and he said, what happened to the original, let's say, $10 an hour?
That's what he said, Your Honor.
And then you said, well, I told you that we paid between 8 and 12, and we're paying you 8?
No, I told him that the starting salary was at 8, but that I would throw in a $1 bonus if he stayed to the end as he agreed. Your Honor, I would have paid him whatever he asked if he would have stayed. In fact, this was a wonderful Santa Claus, and we did not want to lose him, and I didn't care what we had to pay him. He will hopefully remember me saying, Mr. Garvey, I was going to pay you the $10 an hour. Can't you please come to work like you agreed?
Why didn't you pay him the $10 an hour initially that you had initially discussed with him?
Because this is what we start all our Santa Clauses off.
Come on, listen, I wasn't born yesterday. Being a Santa Claus during Christmas season at this man's age, right, is not something that you sign on for with an annuity. So when you sign on for it to work for 6 weeks, you sign on for it with a certain salary. You don't say, well, if you're a good Santa Claus, in 4 years, we're going to give you more money.
I never said
You may
that.
be
Your
delivering
Honor,
in the
I
North
never
Pole
said
in
that.
4 years, Mr. Dagapont.
That was never said by me, Your Honor.
I want to tell you something, Mr. Dagapont. I find your testimony a little bit slippery, to say the least.
Well, I'm sorry
I
to
find
hear
it a
that.
little bit slippery, and I tell you that for, among other things, that you had absolutely no right, because if I believed what you said, you had absolutely no right to cut his pay unilaterally from the $8 that you said you were going to pay him to $5. You didn't have a written employment agreement with him. If you had, he would have known exactly what he was going to make, not between 8 and 12 or 8 and 10. So you decided that he had to be punished for leaving you? What'd you do with the check that they sent you, sir?
Well, I cashed it because I needed the money.
Let me see the check. Exactly what it was. Because you certainly are entitled to the difference.
Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. The last check you sent him was for $178.36.
Right.
That was net. The gross was $193.13.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. I don't like to deal with change. You don't mind if I don't deal with change, Mr. Gorbach?
No, it's okay. He cut dollars. If you want to cut a couple of pennies, it's okay.
Okay. Mr. Gorbach?
Yes.
Today's Christmas for you.
Thank you.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175, which is the difference in what I consider, sir, the amount that you owe this gentleman. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. Down in Louisiana, we don't go ho, ho, ho. You go ha, ha, ha.
He's a wonderful Santa Claus, and I'm hoping that he'll work for us in the future.
I love being Santa Claus.
And now the next case.
All parties on Restelli versus Waterstrat. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Cara Restelli is suing former friend, 21-year-old student Megan Waterstrat, for the use of an international phone card. Megan says Cara left her stranded in Europe, and the phone card was used for emergencies.
Okay, the facts of this case, I don't believe are in dispute. You two ladies were good friends and decided to travel to Europe together.
Yes. Correct.
And sometime towards the beginning of the trip, you received word that the fiancé of a very good friend of yours had died suddenly.
Yes.
And you felt as if it was important for you to return home immediately to be with your friend.
Yes.
Okay. Where in Europe were you going?
We were traveling all around Europe, London, Italy, and we were supposed to go also to Spain and France.
How long was the trip?
It was supposed to be for 3 weeks.
How much into the trip had you received that information?
It was 9 days.
Okay. When you left the defendant with your phone card.
Correct.
That was really your father's phone card.
Right.
Yes.
Father phone card. Sit. And according to you, your father got a whopping bill.
Yeah.
The defendant's calls, and you want her to pay for those calls.
Correct.
Can I see the bill, please?
Yes. I have a list of all the phone calls she made as well as the actual phone bills. It spans over 2 months because it went from 1 month into the next.
Have you seen these?
Yes, I have. She sent them to me in the mail.
Any calls that you question?
No, I don't question any of them.
Okay. So what was the total amount of the bill that she is responsible for?
She made $849 worth of phone calls plus taxes and fees, which came out to $1,015.
Okay. There you go. Big talker.
Absolutely.
So why aren't you responsible for this bill?
Well, upon leaving, or Carol leaving Europe, she gave me the phone card for emergency calls. And in my opinion, all the phone calls I made were for emergencies. So I feel that I don't have to pay.
Well, let me understand this. She gave you the phone card because you didn't have one. Is that right?
That's correct.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with her when she gave you the phone card.
Well, I don't really remember specifically.
Then you don't remember specifically? Then you can't help me.
Oh, I can. Well, she said, here's a phone card, so when we leave, you can use the phone card in case of emergencies. And so I did tell her that it would help pay for the phone bills, but she also agreed that she would not leave me alone in Europe, and she was willing to pay $500 for a ticket home. So when she sent me this bill, there was a disagreement between, she owes me $500, but yet...
What she owe you $500 for?
Because she promised she would pay for a ticket home for $500.
Why should she pay for your ticket home?
Because she left me in Europe. Well, as it turned out, she left me. It was her decision to leave me. This trip had been planned out for quite some time. It was a major expense. And I bought a restrictive ticket and could not change the date to fly home.
You had an emergency.
Well, of course, but
Just a second. She had an emergency.
Well, of course she had an emergency, but in my opinion, it was an emergency that I thought she should go home for.
Were you having a good time for the 9 days that you were there?
With her?
Yes.
Yes.
You having fun?
Yes.
It wasn't as if you were having a miserable time and not getting along and you dumped her. No, you were having a good time.
Yes.
And you had, I assume, planned this trip for a long time and wanted to continue with the trip.
Yes.
But you felt as if you had a moral obligation to go home and be with your friend.
Correct.
Excuse me, Honor. I also thought she had a moral obligation to stay with me because we were halfway across the world.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Well, if you're 21 years old, madam, nobody has to babysit for you.
Of course not, but the whole reason why I went on this trip with a friend was to have, to have a company, to have somebody there to talk to and share the experience with. So she left. That's not fulfilling her, obligation to me. I mean, I went on this trip.
Well, let me ask you this question. If you lost a member of your family, if you received word that a member of your family died while you were 9 days into the trip, you think it would have been the right thing for you to do to go home?
With my friend, yes, and I would pay for her ticket home also.
Baloney. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,015. Grow up!
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just glad it finally got settled and that everyone now knows what I've been saying all along, that she was being a baby about the whole thing and she needs to pay her debts.
She had a verbal agreement that she would help pay for my $500 ticket. And of course I had a verbal agreement that I'd pay for a phone bill, but she didn't follow through on hers, so I wasn't about to follow through on mine.
I needed to go home for an emergency and she just couldn't understand that I was trying to be a good friend, obviously, because she's not a good friend.
She's been petty over the whole thing.
I don't want to be friends with a thief.
one little job
You hired Mr. Peach to do some cement work at your house.
constructed a major problem.
He left a whole pile of debris there, which caused you to injure yourself.
Yes.
But his story
I'd like to see the contract.
I don't have it.
isn't concrete.
You have a counterclaim for breach of contract, and you didn't think to bring the contract?
Well, I didn't think she was going to sue me.
Do you have a drinking problem?
No, I don't.
I think something's wrong.
Judge Judy, teacher Yvette Davis, is suing contractor Douglas Peach for breach of contract and for damages resulting from work done to her home. Yvette says debris left in her backyard caused her to slip and fall. Douglas is countersuing, claiming Yvette breached their contract.
All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 356.
And it is your claim that he was discharged by you for cause, and that when he left a whole pile of debris there, which caused you to fall, which caused you to injure yourself, and you want him to pay for all of your medical bills, your pain and suffering as a result of falling on your own property.
Yes.
Mr. Peach says that he was discharged for no reason. He's counterclaiming for breach of contract. So first I'd like to see the contract, and then I'd like to see a picture of your house.
Your Honor, I did not get a contract. I got an invoice. That's all I ever got. I never got the contract. I asked him for it repeatedly.
You have a copy of the contract, sir.
But I never got a contract.
Agreement. So
I will give you what he gave me. I'm sorry.
Pictures?
Pictures.
All right. What were you supposed to do, Mr. Peach?
It started out that I was supposed to put in a concrete sidewalk, and it evolved from putting in a patio to grading to moving debris from her backyard to build a gravel type of thing to keep the water from coming into her backyard.
Okay. When did you first go there and give her an estimate?
Well, the first time she called us to come at 10 o'clock to give her an estimate. I arrived
10 o'clock on what date, sir?
the 16th of July. Well, when I got there, she says, "You're a half hour early," and she scolded me for being a half hour early. I apologized that I was there early, and she showed me what was to be done.
Did you negotiate a price with her?
Yeah.
What was the price?
The initial price was $1,600 to put in the concrete.
So far, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
All right. What was the price that you...
$1,200 for 80 feet of sidewalk.
Now, Miss Davis, why didn't you get this quote from him, $1,200 for 80 feet of sidewalk, in a contract?
I repeatedly asked him for that. And I said, when you come back...
Not repeatedly. You didn't have to repeat
Well, that time, I asked him the first day.
Listen to me.
When I say repeat... Okay, I'm sorry.
He came on the 16th. He told you $1,200 for 80 feet. You said, when you come back with the materials, I accept your price. You bring me a contract. You bring me a proof of insurance. When did he come back?
He came back that afternoon.
Okay, what did he come back with?
He came back with a crew, one guy.
Well, a crew, that's a mini crew.
A mini crew. That's
a
what he
mini
had,
crew.
a mini crew. He
came back with a mini crew, one
guy.
person, and he had materials.
No, he did not have material.
What did he have?
He didn't have anything but himself and this one person, this one crew member.
So?
And Mr. Peach, where is the legal papers? And he said, I don't have them. I was at another site. I will get them for you this afternoon. And I said, I will. He said, can we start the work? I will only allow you to start the work if I will get these papers. He said, I promise you. I want to start the work, and then this afternoon, when I leave my other site, I will bring those papers. So he left this one crew member there.
He left one person there.
He only had one, who started breaking up my 80 feet of sidewalk. Mr. Peach never returned that afternoon. The next morning, Mr. Peach came. He said, I need to have half down. At that time, it was $1,200. I said, fine, but that's only with the promise of this.
I gotcha.
Okay.
So you gave him $600?
I gave him $700, and I have proof of the canceled check.
Okay.
Because I added the patio to the job, which now was $150.
How big a patio?
It's, I think it's 12 by 14. I have the...
12 by 14 for $100?
$150. This is what he quoted. On that invoice, we added the patio for $150. So now the bill is $1,350. So I wrote a $700 half down, which is his requirement, check. And the work continued. And they finished it. They tore it all out and finished that part. All right, now that was on Thursday. On Friday morning, Mr. Peach came, and he had a flatbed on his truck. He loaded up his Bobcat. They were in the alley. I ran out, and I said, Mr. Peach, legal papers, contract, I want it now. I'll be right back. I had to drop this off to another site. Mr. Peach never came back, ever.
Okay, now I'm hearing you, sir.
The first day, she ordered the job done. I brought one crew, one member. He ripped out the sidewalk. He put it into a pile. We hauled it away that following morning. Okay, and then she said we could only work her hours. That was at 10 o'clock. And I thought, well, okay, this is okay. I'll try. I understand she's a single woman and she didn't want nobody on her property as long as she was there. Okay, then she wanted to add the patio, and I said that'd be another $1,150.
Who wrote this out?
He did.
I did.
It says patio, $150.
No, it should be $1,150.
Well, that's not what you wrote
I'm
here,
sorry.
sir.
I made a mistake.
Mr.
He's
Peach,
lying.
Mr. Peach, do you understand the problem? I mean,
Yes.
$150 is sort of ridiculous to
Yes,
do a
it
whole
is.
patio. That's why I looked at her and I said, is she crazy? $150 to do a patio is stupid. You know, that's
Should be
clearly a
$11.50.
mistake.
I
It
didn't
should be
think it was going to come to
$11.50.
court.
Well, listen to me, sir. This is your contract. You
Yes.
wrote it out for want of. You acknowledge you wrote this out. It says patio, $150.
Yes, I realize that. But anyway, so then she calls me up and says she cannot work today because she was not going to be there. But I came out anyway, and she was there. But we could only work basically about a half hour, 45 minutes because she was going to leave.
He's lying.
So,
Shh, don't speak. Go ahead.
So we continued working. And then I asked her, I said, now, do you want me to remove this debris? And she said yes. And every time I would leave to get material, she would have this other guy, one of my workers, doing work for her. And I'd come back and I'd say, well, how come this?
I told you not to speak.
I said, you know, I can't work like this. Every time I leave him here, he's supposed to be doing his job forming up for the concrete. I cannot work if you start telling these people what to do. I said, there's only one boss on the job, and that's me. She became dissatisfied and told us to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Show me the contract.
I don't have it.
Mr. Peach, do you have a drinking problem?
No, I don't.
I think something's wrong. Something's not wrapped too tight up here.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Teacher Yvette Davis is suing contractor Douglas Peach for breach of contract and for damages resulting from work done to her home. Douglas is countersuing, claiming Yvette breached their contract.
Did she ask you for a contract, sir, and for proof of insurance?
Yes, she did, and I showed her my contract and my proof of insurance.
Well, just show me the contract.
I don't have it. I didn't think to bring it.
You have a counterclaim for breach of contract, and you didn't think to bring the contract?
Well, I didn't think she was going to sue me.
Mr. Peach, do you have a drinking problem?
No, I don't.
No, I'm serious with
No,
you.
I don't.
It's not a joke.
I don't.
Because if you're in business, and you've been in business a while,
Yes.
you've been in business for a while, sir. And if what you're telling me is that you're an intelligent man, and if you're telling me that you didn't think it was important to bring a contract that you say you have to court, I think something's wrong. Something's not wrapped too tight up here. You're missing something. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right. Now, Miss Davis, now we're going to get to you. What are you suing him for?
It's threefold. Breach of contract. I did stop the work, at least when they came back on the 18th of July. I would not allow any work to continue because there was no contract. On the 24th of July, he came out. We actually wrote it up. Wrote down everything that I needed to have done.
Can I see it, please?
And this is where he quoted me $1,600. And I said, Mr. Peach, when will you come back and continue the work? He said, I will come back on Monday. Monday came and no one showed up. I haven't been able to reach him or seen him.
Did you have somebody else finish the backyard?
Yes, I hired someone in September. I have all of that.
Good.
That I,
Can I see what you did in September? Shh, just show it to me.
Okay, let me.
So somebody else came and finished the job.
I hired another contractor, canceled checks, and the whole bill.
According to you, Mr. Peach gave you a quote for the same job that you ultimately had done. Mr. Peach's quote was $1,600.
Right.
You paid somebody else almost $4,000.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes. I would have paid Mr. Peach that amount had he quoted that and drawn it up in the contract. I would have paid that.
Is there anything else you're suing him for?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
I could not walk through the sidewalk area because it was so debris with broken up rock. So I had to walk through the center of my backyard that has all of that pile up of dirts and broken cement. That area in my yard is not lighted. and I fell 4 times at night coming in from concert one night, dinner. The 4th fall, I fell on my ulnar nerve, and I have a damaged nerve in this hand. So for a month and a half, I have been dropping hot pans of water and grease.
It's not his fault.
I know, but I'm saying I have a damaged.
It's not his fault.
I have a damaged nerve because of the fall.
It's not his fault.
Well, he left all that debris in my yard.
Not his fault.
And he drug out all the rock.
Not his fault. What's the nature of your I'm speaking. What's the nature of your disability while you are not working?
I became very ill in October 1996 with necrotitis and pancreatitis, and I spent 4.5 years in the hospital dying. And I am recovering from all of the.
So you haven't worked since 1996?
I haven't worked since October 96.
Okay, fine.
So I was always available when Mr. Peach could come out and work.
Miss
Anytime
Davis,
I wanted to start.
Miss Davis, listen to me. You're not an unintelligent woman. And if you knew a job was worth $4,000 and somebody says that they're going to do it for you for $1,600, a red flag ought to go off in your head and say, something's wrong here. Either this man is drinking something, smoking something, or is not wrapped too tight. But he's certainly not going to work in my house because this job is not a $1,600 job. This job is thousands. So there's something wrong. I could understand why you wanted to have a contract. But having a contract with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, who comes out for an estimate, gives you an estimate that you know is wrong, that you know is wrong,
Well, I don't.
that you, sure you do, that you know as a homeowner is wrong, and you say to him, sure, come on back and start this afternoon. Let's get it going. So I blame you because you are an intelligent woman and you should have known this was a big mistake. So my only question is, since you do not really have a contract with him, I have to make a determination whether you are entitled to any portion of your $700 back. You did, in fact, give him $700.
Yes, I did.
He did, in fact, work there for at least 2 days. So he gets 2 days' pay. The only 2 days' pay he's going to get is the $700 he's already got. Do you understand,
Yes,
sir?
I do.
You have a counterclaim for breach of contract. According to you, you had no contract.
No,
So you can't sue her for breach of contract.
didn't know that.
So your $4,000 claim for a breach of contract is over. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And it's unfortunate that you fell in your backyard, madam. If you fell in your backyard and if you weren't careful, then that's your problem. He's not responsible for that. All right. $700 is what you paid. $700 is what he's entitled to. I don't know what else you want back.
I'd like to have my nerve back.
Well, I can't give that to you. You should
I
have
know
been
you
more
can't.
careful.
I
That's
know.
all. Case is over.
All is excused. You may step out.
Next time when I do a job for a lady,
I paid out $700
I'll write up a contract,
for the work that was this crew did.
show her everything that I have before.
I'll check the Attorney General and
This is the first time anything ever happened like this.
anyone else that I can find to find shysters like this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Russell versus Tate. Step forward.
Nurse Pam Russell is suing her ex-boyfriend, Charles D. Tate, for the return of a hot tub and a Doughboy pool. Charles says both items were gifts.
Miss Russell, you moved in with Mr. Tate, and you lived with him at his home for about 5 months, according to what I read. You had your own home at the time, which you were in the process of selling. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved in with him, you did in fact sell your home, and you had in your home a pool and a hot tub, which you brought to Mr. Tate's home with his permission.
Correct.
And I gather that in order to install this pool and hot tub, there were some trees that were cut down. Is that right, Mr. Tate?
Yes, ma'am.
To make a long story short, the backyard was modified to accommodate the pool and hot tub. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you weren't getting along. Mr. Tate told you to leave. You left. You want your pool, your hot tub back, and you want expenses that you incurred, according to you, while you were living with him to sort of improve his house.
That's correct.
Let me see pictures of the backyard where the pool and the hot tub are. Miss Russell, when you brought this pool and hot tub over, what did you say to him?
I told him that I was putting my house up for sale and that, you know, if he wanted to, we would bring my pool and hot tub to his home and have it there to enjoy. Now, he referred to his home also as my home during that time.
Ma'am, she gave us this.
Shh, I didn't ask. Did you hear me ask you a question?
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Now, also, I helped him prepare this land, you know, as far as help him with it, help him with the trees, help him put the pool
I'm
up.
going to ask you, how many trees were cut down?
3.
We also had to do a bunch of bobcat work, dirt move-in, whatever you want to call it, landscaping, surveying to get this pool in here level also.
Is that right?
That's right.
Now, what kind of expenses do you think you are entitled to be reimbursed for?
While I lived there,
had expenses on like painting the house inside. We remodeled the bathroom. I had a few things.
Ma'am, the whole time
What were those things?
Bathroom fixtures, paint, things for the outside.
So what makes you think, Miss Russell, that you are entitled to be compensated for that?
Well, I mean, after I got everything, you know, the pool, the hot tub there, and I got everything there, then of course he gets mad at me one day and just kicks me out.
You brought the pool over in anticipation, I assume, of you living there together as a unit. Is that right?
That's right.
And you think that you're entitled to take it?
That's right.
You are not. If this was something that did not become part of the property, and there were no alterations in the property, you want to take it, then take it. But once he modifies it, and he modifies his home, you don't get to take it back, nor do you get the value of it. Do you understand?
But the hot tub was just brought in, set down. It was never hooked up, no land preparation for the hot tub. So the hot tub was not in use.
Is that right, sir?
Well, we actually did get it hooked up, but we never did get to use it.
Okay, you don't mind if she takes the hot tub if she wants to, do you?
No, ma'am.
Great, you can come pick up the hot tub. When do you want to go pick up the hot tub?
As soon as I can go get it.
5 days from today. She has to make arrangements. If she doesn't come 5 days from today, she loses the right to do it. Do you understand? So you have to have a place to put it and somebody to pick it up 5 days from today's date. I'll prepare an order. Next, so things that you purchased for the house, you don't get reimbursed for. This was not a loan that you made to him. These were improvements that you contributed to while you were living in the house in anticipation that you were going to stay there. But you don't get compensated for that if it doesn't work out. That's why people get married. You see, if you get married and you make improvements to a house, then you have some vested interest in it because the law recognizes the state of marriage. The law does not recognize the state of living together or almost married or doing a test run. Do you understand? You don't have the case, Miss Russell. Sorry. We'll prepare the order with regard to the hot tub. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Please excuse you, may step out.
I just felt like I was used.
I think she was angry because I asked her to leave.
We got into an argument and he left the house. He wouldn't talk about it.
We've been having problems for a while.
Tried to talk to him about it and he didn't want to talk.
It just wasn't working, so I decided it'd be best to stop it there.
I thought, you know, best place to handle it would be in court.
People give you things, they shouldn't take them back to begin with.
These two young people decided to go into a business together, and that involved a pig.
They conquered the farmland.
We were gonna breed her and sell the piglets.
$100 a piece.
This is so far a really good business.
But after a vicious split,
You're no longer a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
she wants her piggy back.
She invested half of the money that it cost to buy this piggy.
Judge Judy.
Did you see these pigs?
Oh, lovely pigs.
Is suing teacher Stacy Smith and her son, 16-year-old Nicholas Link, for the return of her daughter's investment in a pig.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Montani versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Just step up here, please. This used to be your boyfriend, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Miss Montani, this case is an interesting one, pretty unique even for me. Your daughter and the defendant's son were dating, and these two young people decided to go into a business together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that business involved the purchase of a pig, a breeding pig. And what were you going to do with this pig?
We were gonna breed her and sell the piglets for people to show during the fairs.
That was your intention.
Yes, ma'am.
So each of you put in how much towards the pig?
$250 each.
And when did you purchase this pig?
June 3rd.
You have a picture of the pig?
Yes, ma'am. I have a few pictures.
Now, from what I gather, the pig remained at your house, Mrs. Smith. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did, in fact, have 2 piglets.
Had 10 baby piglets.
And each of you kept one, and you sold the others?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you sell the others for?
$100 a piece.
At that point, you made $800.
We kept 2. Each of us kept 1 each. Also to eat because they were smaller than the others. They were runts.
I'm asking, you sold 8 piglets.
No, ma'am.
You sold 6.
Yes, ma'am.
So you got $600. Now, what did you do with the $600 that you got from the piglets?
Crystal can answer that. She's got it broke down into
What did you do with the
done
$600? What did you do with the $600, Crystal?
$128 on feed, $50 for warmer. We bought Nick's official dress for FFA, which was $76.
Okay, so you spent the money on things involving the business with this first litter. But then you each kept a pig.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I read that you went to a fair, and your pig came in
Second place.
second place. And how much did you win?
$1,100.
And you got how much?
500 something.
And you kept that money, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you kept your 1,100?
Yes, ma'am.
So right now, this is so far a really good business. This is a really good business.
And a bunch of charming pigs.
A bunch of charming pigs. Did you see these pigs?
Oh, lovely pigs. Some BLT, huh?
Okay. Now, this lawsuit is about the fact that you two are no longer in business because you're no longer a boyfriend and girlfriend. So you want your initial $250 back, right? And also some investment that your mother said she gave them for cement for the pig pen. You're not getting that back. Forget it. Let's talk about the initial $250 investment. Do you believe she's entitled to that back?
In a way, yes, ma'am, but the food also has cost way beyond that.
Just a minute. Is this pig pregnant again?
She was, but she's had another litter since then.
Really? So since you're no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, she's had another litter?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many did she have in the other litter?
She had 15, but 2 died.
Okay, so that's going to give you $1,300.
Yes, ma'am.
She's only suing for $250. You know, when you're in business together, just because you break up, that doesn't mean that she's not entitled to a fair percentage of the business. That would include a piece of these 13 piglets. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am, but that was after we had left, and that's after I was going to buy her out of her business, and that money came from my own personal money after she had left.
She left. What do you mean she left? You broke up. Just because you broke up, the business doesn't die. You still got the pig. Let me try to draw an analogy that maybe you'll understand. Let us say the two, look at me. Don't look at your mother. Look at me. Let's say the two people, stop playing with your papers. Let's say the two people decide to go into business and they open up a restaurant together. And they each invest $5,000 to open up the restaurant. And they make their money back, just like you did. Got your initial investment back. But this restaurant really takes off. And this restaurant is now worth a lot of money. People break up. Girl leaves. She says, I want my $5,000 back that I put into the restaurant. You should say, here, take it. Because let's say your restaurant at that point is worth $100,000. She'd be entitled to half of that. Not $5,000, $50,000. Well, she invested half of the money that it cost to buy your restaurant, Miss Piggy. And Miss Piggy, so far, is worth a lot more than her $250 investment. You had $1,300 that she didn't partake in.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$14,000 from an initial investment of $250. That is real good math. And all she wants is her $250 back. What do you think?
And later today,
He sent me a letter on March 23rd saying that I'm smart, I'm talented, I'm attractive.
I assume that you became interested in a more than professional relationship with the plaintiff. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Montani says Stacy Smith and her son, 16-year-old Nicholas Link, owe for the cost of a pig.
All she wants in this lawsuit is her initial investment back. You should be very grateful, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because in 6 months, your pig is going to have another litter of pigs. I don't know how many litters they have in a year.
2 probably.
So let's say in any given year, they're going to have at least 20 pigs. Twice a year. You're going to make $2,000 a year. How many years can she go on and have piglets?
She can only be bred about 6 or 7 times.
Well, let's see. So let's say you got minimum $2,000 a year times 7. That's $14,000 from an initial investment of $250. That is real good math. And all she wants is her $250 back. What do you think?
Yes, ma'am. That would have been paid to her when this whole thing started, but it just wasn't $250 that she was asking for. She was asking for, I think it was $475.
Right, she was. Well, I just told her that she wasn't going to get the $475.
Yes, ma'am. If that wouldn't have been there in the beginning, the $250 would have been paid straight up.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
All are excused. You may step out.
She came in the first year at the fair higher than Nick, and the second year she got more money through the auction.
She didn't want to take the time to talk about it or discuss anything.
Her jealousy of my daughter always making better. and it caused conflict.
I don't know what she's talking about.
I think Judge Judy did a good ruling, and I just want to get on and have the same opportunity that he had in starting a business.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Arrington versus Boston. Step forward, please.
Massage therapist Kathleen Arrington is suing former client, retired attorney John Boston, for the cost of her services. John is countersuing for the cost of his services, defamation of character, and for an injury to his thumb.
Miss Arrington, you are a massage therapist?
Yes, I am.
And Mr. Boston is an attorney. Are you practicing now, sir?
I'm almost retired. I still have a license, but I don't have any clients at this time.
Miss Arrington, according to what I've read, you and the defendant entered into a barter arrangement. You would provide him with massage therapy, and he would do some legal work for you, problem that you had with a phone company.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that you performed your part of the service.
Yes.
He did not.
That is correct.
And you are suing him for the value of your services because he didn't perform his part of the barter agreement.
That is correct.
Okay. And Mr. Boston says that you actually owe him money because he did provide services. He worked for many hours on your legal problem, and at so much an hour, he discounted it, so you owe him a lot of money. And in addition, he says that you weren't a very good massage therapist because you damaged his thumb, and he's had all kinds of problems, and he's had to go for treatment and therapy. He has his hand in a splint anyway. So this whole barter agreement didn't work out very well. When did you make this agreement, Miss Arrington, with Mr. Boston, and how did you find him?
Mr. Boston came to me for a general massage when he found that I knew how to do neuromuscular massage.
Do you advertise?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an office?
I use my home, a room in my home.
Okay. How did you find her?
Your Honor, I saw an ad in the paper, the Austin Chronicle, which said, "Enjoy a glass of wine with your massage." My regular massage therapist was out of town, so I called her, and on the 28th of December, had a massage which I paid her $130 for.
And when did you make this arrangement with regard to barter?
At the end of the second massage, on January 4th, we had been just exchanging information on both the massages about what we do and what we do in our life. And I had told him twice that I was having trouble with MCI, that I had a defective phone line. They were not giving me the refund I needed. I had lost a lot of time taken off from my jobs to be there the 26 or 27 times it took to get them out to fix the phone, which was still dead at that current time. And he suggested that we barter. He would take on the MCI problem, try and get the money back.
How much money are we talking about?
At the time, I thought about $800. Mr. Boston said that he could probably get that back, plus some money that I probably was entitled to because I had lost so much work on the 26 or 27 or 28 times they had been to my house to fix the line. So it sounded like something that he could handle. He assured me he could handle it. So the barter began, and we did the first massage in the barter arrangement on January 19th.
Okay. And how many did you do on the barter arrangement?
9 massages, 3 of them were for an hour and a half long on the barter system.
Okay. From when to when? From the 19th of January until
From the 19th of January to the last time he came in 3 times in one day on March 10th. By this time, all I wanted him to do was finish the MCI thing. He was vague about it, and I never heard from him again until he called me around he sent me a letter on March 23rd saying that he liked me, I'm smart, I'm talented, I'm attractive. Then he said he didn't have time to work on my case because he says if I'm hired by cash clients, taking care of their needs comes ahead of other considerations.
Let me see the letter.
In the same thing, he also suggests an hour-for-hour swap. Can
I see?
I've highlighted most of them.
I see where he says he worked 12 hours on August 11th, 9 hours on August 10th, 9 hours on August.
I have flagged the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, which was a Sunday, and there's no dump open, and the 11th right here in my journal.
Okay. And that was the 11th was his last day of work?
No, I don't think so. It could have been the 12th, but he left early that day, and there was an argument that day, and he took the bus home. Left, right? The last record I have of a cash payment was on the 11th.
Well, if you listen to me, Mr. McCaffrey, you say you kept accurate records of these cash payments. Now you tell me that you had an argument with him on the 12th. The 11th couldn't have been his last day because you didn't pay him on the day that you had the argument with him when he left. So that couldn't have been the 11th because the 11th you said you paid him, according to your note, to yourself in cash.
I agree, absolutely. That's the last time But I can't say for sure if the Tuesday was the last day or if there was a day lapse in between that because I don't have any entries after that.
So clearly there was several hours that he did work for you that are unaccounted for in your journal.
Right. They could
Well,
be.
how many hours? Was it 8 hours? Was it 7 hours?
No, he showed up in the morning and I showed up later with another fella and another friend of mine. This would have been about 10 or 11 o'clock, and I came to find there was a broken chainsaw on the job. I asked who did it, and that's where our argument ensued.
Okay. Mr. Ransom,
Yes, ma'am.
let's move away from the hourly work that you say you're entitled to. I think that it's probably someplace in between. All right. Your primary accusation is for the slander that you say. Do you have any witnesses to this slander,
Yes,
sir?
yes, Your Honor, I do have the assistant directors here.
What's that person's name?
Carol Martinez.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes, she is the person that received the call.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He said Mr. Ransom showed up under the influence of drugs. He brought drugs to work. He tried to get me involved in his drug lord thing, and he continued on and on.
And later today,
She did not stop at the stop sign. She accelerated the car, and the ball bounced up and hit the car window.
Noel, what you just gave me was a whole lot of Who Shot John.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cleve Ransom says his former employer, Kevin McCaffrey, is withholding his wages. Cleve also claims that Kevin slandered him to his counselor at a sober living house.
Ms. Martinez, did there come a time when you received a call from Mr. McCaffrey wanting to know the address of the home that you direct?
Yes, ma'am. I received a call on the morning of August 18th. The gentleman on the phone, at first he didn't identify himself. He asked me for the address to our facility. I then inquired to why do you need our address, because I not only have male clients, I have women clients there. He stated to me that he was Cleve Ransom's former boss and that he had mailed a check prior, the week prior, and Mr. Ransom claimed he never got it, and that he wanted to send a check to our facility for Mr. Ransom certified mail. So I gave him the address, and before I could hang up, he asked me, do you do room searches there? And I said, sir, why would you inquire about room searches? He said, well, Mr. Ransom brought sexual explicit pictures to work of all your female clients in all different sexual positions, and I wanted you to be aware that that is going on in your facility. I said, that is not going on in my facility, and we would never tolerate any sexual misconduct. And then he said, well, do you do drug testing? And I inquired again as to why would you ask me about drug testing? He said, well, Mr. Ransom showed up under the influence of drugs. He brought drugs to work. He tried to get me involved in his drug lord thing, and he continued on and on. I left my office with a cordless phone and walked out of my office. My office is there at the facility, and walked upstairs, and I rang Mr. Ransom's doorbell. And when he opened it, I pushed my speakerphone on the thing. He continued for about another minute and a half, telling me how he's a manipulator, a con artist, that he's not fit to be in society, that I need to be careful of what he's doing to our females. And so I ended the conversation. I then contacted the executive director, who was out of town, and I said to her, I got this phone conversation. What do I do about it? She said that I needed to place Mr. Ransom on a 2-week total restriction to the facility, and that I needed to conduct a complete room search, drug testing. I needed to interview some of our long-term clients that have been there, our female clients that have been there for a while. So I did that. Mr. Ransom was placed on a total restriction. I conducted a random drug test on him, 6 to be exact, during that 2-week period. And I did a complete room search of his room 3 different occasions. I never found any photographs. He passed every single drug test, and Mr. Ransom never received anything certified mail from Mr. McCaffrey.
Do you want to respond further with regard to Ms. Martinez's statement about the extent of your conversation with her?
The validity of the statement, yes, it's false. It's primarily false. As far as going on for an hour and a half, I did
Shouldn't
warn.
say you went on for an hour.
Or a minute. I'm sorry, a minute and a half. And I did warn her of the pictures that he had brought to work and the nature of his activity at work, which I thought
Which was what?
was inappropriate. Pornographic photos.
I'm asking you, sir, about the drug testing.
About drug testing, I have no clue what she's talking about drug testing, and I could respond.
Did you ever say to her that he's a lowlife and he shouldn't be in society?
Absolutely not.
Did he say that to you?
Yes, ma'am, and when I had it on speakerphone, and Mr. Ransom heard it also.
She says you made those statements. I don't see that she has any particular axe to grind, sir. I also question the validity of part of your defense, because you said to me that the reason you had an argument with the plaintiff was because you asked who broke a chainsaw That resulted in an altercation with Mr. Ransom. He left. That's what you said caused all the problems. Whereas in your sworn answer to his complaint, you say that the reason that he became angry is because you insisted on paying him by check and he wanted to be paid in cash, that he became abusive and walked off the job. So you couldn't even get your story straight between your answer and today. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $2,700. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Some of his work was very good. I was also satisfied with the fact that we were very friendly at one point. I did buy him 2 pair of boots. I did buy him lunches. I was as friendly as I could afford to be.
He actually wanted to get me booted out of the program from the beginning.
Why would you show someone pornographic photographs unless you're interested in getting him involved in that type of lifestyle, which I want no part of?
Went out the door when he started just yelling, "I'm not a kid, I'm old enough to be his father." And he don't respect that.
We all live with the consequences of what we do, and we all know what the real truth is in our lives.
Thank Judge Judy for justice.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Greenwood versus Crutchley. Step forward, please.
Philip and Heather Greenwood are suing Gary and Berland Crutchley and their daughter, 15-year-old Noelle. Heather claims Noelle damaged her car with a basketball.
Noelle, you were playing basketball with a friend, is that right?
Yes.
What's your friend's name?
Blair Cooney.
Is that this young lady right here?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you playing basketball?
At my friend Blair's house.
Tell me what happened. Tell me how it came about that the basketball that you had in your hands ended up breaking her car mirror.
Well, I was playing basketball with my friend Blair, and...
Now listen to me, before you start, Noelle, I want to tell you, I don't care what you've told your mother, I don't care what you've told your father, I don't care what you told your friends, okay? Now you're going to tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
So just forget anything that you told them in the past. Put it out of your mind.
Okay.
Now you're telling me.
Well, I was saying that I was playing basketball with my friend Blair, and I saw a car coming. So I thought I had time because there's a stop sign, and usually when there's a stop sign, you stop. So I shot the basket when the car was coming to the stop sign, but she did not stop at the stop sign. She proceeded, and then I went to the basket to get the ball when after I shot it, but then instead of slowing down, she accelerated the car, and the ball hit the bottom of the curb and then bounced up and hit the car window. And then she stopped and got out of her car, and the first thing she said to me was, and slammed her door. And it really upset me when she said that, and she was yelling.
That's terrible. Quiet. Let me hear.
I was driving down the street not far from our house, and I came up to a stop sign, and I see Noelle and her friend playing about 100 feet from the stop sign. And I myself have a 2-year-old daughter in the car with me. And when I saw the girls, I stopped at the stop sign, noticed where they were at, and made my left-hand turn. And all of a sudden, this ball just comes crashing into my mirror, breaking the mirror. So I stop the car, put it in park, walk around the car, pick up the mirror, and I tell Noelle, I say, maybe you should be more careful about playing in the street.
Well, I'm sure that it was a little more angry than that. Right?
Well, when the ball hit my...
Right?
Maybe a little bit.
Uh-huh. Okay. Noelle, what you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John. That means I don't believe you. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15. Do you babysit?
Not mostly, but sometimes I do, yes.
Well, good. You should start to babysit because your parents have to take care of this mirror. I mean, it's a mirror. It's not a big deal. What?
I'd just like to say that she, numerous amount of times, said that I kicked the ball at the car. And then when she got out of the car,
you did.
And then when I got out of the car, it's one of those swivel mirrors, so it swiveled in when the ball hit it, and the mirror popped out. It did not break. It popped out. And when she got out of the car, she was jamming it in, trying to fix it, but she could have done more damage by jamming it in like that. And
So it was her fault?
No, I'm not.
Is that what you're telling me?
No.
It's her fault. What do you want to say, son?
When children are playing in the street, wouldn't someone slow down to try and make sure that something like this didn't happen so that
Listen
the
to
kids
me.
weren't endangered?
Listen to me. Your daughter wasn't in danger. Your daughter wasn't in danger.
What happens if the ball hit the curb and bounced up?
What if? What if when I was born, my parents had been taller? I would have been taller. Don't give me a what if. What if is your 15-year-old daughter, who is almost as tall as you are, was playing ball with her friend and wasn't careful, and because she wasn't careful, the ball hit the plaintiff's car. Now, hit the plaintiff's car, and it could have spooked her. She had a 2-year-old in the car. She could have hit your daughter. She could have hit your daughter. I'm speaking! She could have hit your daughter's friend. But that's not what happened. You want to stand up? Stand up. See? No, sir, I'm not finished with you. See these two girls? See these two girls? They're both taller than I am. So they may be 15 years old, but they're not babies. Don't treat them like babies. Your daughter made a mistake. It's not a big mistake.
Well, that's
But
what
Jack,
I felt. It
It's
wasn't
not
a big
mistake, but she caused the damage. She's old enough to pay for it.
We never saw a bill. We never once saw anything that proved that this mirror was broken other than it fell off.
Just a second, Mr. Crutchley. When she first called you and you said you'd get back to her, did you then, you or your wife, tell her you lost her number?
No.
Who told you they lost your phone number? He did. And did you get right back to her?
No, I did not.
Is that acting responsibly, sir?
I didn't know what to do. I was trying to figure out what should be done. It wasn't clear cut to me. It wasn't black and white.
So
I
then
felt
why
she
don't you
should have-
say to her, it's really not clear cut to me?
That's what I said.
No, it's really not. Can we get together? You're a neighbor. You live close by. I mean, we live in the same neighborhood. Let's see what happened. Or did you just sort of put her off?
I put her off.
Right. That's why she got annoyed. Because you put her off. Because what you should have done, sir, put your hand down. Because you think your parents may believe this crap story that you gave them. I do not. I do not believe that she failed to stop at a stop sign. I do not believe that she saw you and accelerated trying to hit you. Believe me, she didn't want to hit you. She didn't want to damage her car. Now, can I see what it cost you to fix the car, please?
33, I believe. These are the two receipts for the part and the installation.
$229.23, I believe, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $229.23. Thank you. That's all. Step out.
I just feel that we were right in this case and that we shouldn't have lost, and obviously the judge felt the same way.
Well, I felt that my daughter was telling me the truth, and I believe the defendants did what they had to say in order to get their judgment.
You really felt appalled by the way that these parents played into their child's deceptions.
To them, it was the principle as worth going through all this for a lousy $222.
Hopefully, more than anything, their daughter will take a lesson from this and take responsibility in the future.
What time did she call you?
2 o'clock in the morning.
You were just going to go out and do what?
I guess talk, I don't know.
You didn't get out of bed because you thought you were going to talk at 2 o'clock in the morning.
One late night call turns to one huge disaster.
Car fixed. It's beyond repair. What did you hit?
I hit bus sign and 3 parking meters.
Lucky you didn't hit 3 people.
Judge Judy.
You look like a nice enough young man. So I'm not going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Sorry.
Is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old cook Tracy Doherty, for wrecking her car. Joanne says Tracy fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, this is case number 294 on the calendar in the matter of Mucci versus Doherty. President sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. And have a seat.
How old are you, sir?
22, Your Honor.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Are you the baby in the family?
Yes, I am.
You know, I could have almost predicted that.
Yeah?
Yes, I could have.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You still live at home?
Yes.
This is just sort of research for me.
Uh-huh.
Now let's get to the lawsuit. Okay. He was driving your car.
Yes, he was.
With your daughter in it.
Yes.
They were friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. He fell asleep. He wrecked the car.
Yes, he did.
He says it's not his fault. So I want to hear why it's not his fault. Go ahead.
I don't think it's all my fault. I think it's part my fault that I wrecked the car, but I don't think I'm...
Which part? First tell me when it happened.
I couldn't tell you the exact date, Your Honor.
Give me a month.
Month, March, I believe.
Beginning, middle, or end?
Beginning of March, Your Honor.
It would be March.
It was May 19th.
May 19th. That's close to March. They both start with an M. Okay. How did it come about that you were driving the plaintiff's car?
On the night of questioned, I was in bed sleeping. I received a phone call from Jessica stating that she was getting off work around 2 a.m. and she needed me to do her a favor. So she asked if she can come get me and go for a ride.
You were sound asleep. What time did she call you?
Around 2 o'clock in the morning.
And what time had you gone to sleep?
Maybe 12 o'clock. I work at 7 that morning.
Okay. And you were due to get up at 7?
Yes.
So why didn't you tell Jessica, don't stop by on your way home from work? You're driving, go directly home. I have to get up early in the morning.
I guess I'm a sucker for cute girls.
Yes. And you were just going to go out and do what at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Just, I guess, talk. We were just...
You were just going to talk?
She was bored. She wanted someone companion. She wasn't sleepy.
Let me explain something to you. So you're 22 years old? You didn't get out of bed because you thought you were going to talk at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right. So she came by your house, and you got dressed,
Yes.
and you went outside.
Yes.
And what happened when you went outside?
I got in the car. She was driving at the time. We drove around for a little bit, and then she was getting sleepy, so she asked me to drive.
When you drove around, you're just driving around?
Basically, yes. Well, at that point in time, she really can't come to my house, and I really can't go to her house, so...
Why is that?
Differences in the past.
Differences with whom?
My family and her family.
Oh. So it's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, sort of.
So you're driving around, and she's doing the driving, and then
Yeah.
what happened?
She started to get sleepy also, so she asked me if I can drive. I told her that at the time I was also sleepy, that I didn't want to drive, but I gave in and decided to drive. I thought I was stronger than she was at the time, so I.
Well, that was a misjudgment on
Yes,
your
it
part.
really was.
Because you fell asleep.
Yes.
What did you hit?
I hit a bus sign, a trash can, and 3 parking meters.
Lucky you didn't hit 3 people.
Yes.
Is the story he's telling me pretty accurate?
Almost.
Well, why don't you come up here and finish it? You're Jessica?
Yes.
All right, Jessica. First, why did you call him at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I had gotten off work and wanted to go get something to eat.
Yes.
So I called him and he said he would come with me. So I came to his house, picked him up. We went on our way to get something to eat. I was tired, realized that we didn't want to go, and he offered to drive.
You were on your way
never asked.
downtown and you realized you didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go anymore. I was really tired myself. And he noticed and offered to drive. Get in the car, I'm sleeping. The next thing I know, I wake up and there's smoke everywhere, and I look behind me and there's all types of damage to the sidewalk and to the car.
What kind of car were you driving?
Nissan Altima.
What year?
96.
Was the car fixed?
It's beyond repair. I have pictures and I have estimates. The estimate's more than the car's worth.
You have the Blue Book value on the car?
No, I don't.
Well, I need that.
Okay.
Would you see if you can get the Blue Book for me on this car? Thank you. We have a price?
$2,775.
Now, Tracy,
Yes, Your Honor.
she was not smart to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I wasn't smart to leave my house at 2 in the morning either.
That's right. Because you got more than the hamburger that you bargained for.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you're not responsible.
I understand.
And when I read your answer, I said, I'm going to make scrambled eggs out of it.
Sorry.
But you look like a nice enough young man.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm giving them $2,775 in a judgment because it was your fault. If somebody asks you to do something and you're not equipped to do it because you're tired, then you say, no, I can't drive. Let's pull over and call a cab. Pull over and call your mother. Pull over and call my father, or we'll walk home. Better yet, you don't go out at all. But since you made all of those cumulative mistakes, you have to pay for it. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $2,775. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, he's no excuse. You may step out.
For a while there, he thought it wasn't his fault, but I think he's changed his mind.
I learned a lot of lessons in the result of this.
I was a little upset.
Don't answer your phone late at night if you're sleeping.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Munoz versus Madrigal. Step forward, please.
Records clerk Rosalinda Munoz is suing shop owner Lupe Madrigal for the cost of 4 dresses and a photographer. Rosalinda says the dresses for her daughter's celebration were the wrong color.
Ms. Munoz, according to what I've read, your daughter was celebrating her 15th birthday. This is your daughter. And it is your custom to have sort of a coming out party, a big party, when a young lady reaches 15. Is that right?
Yes.
What is it called?
A quinceañera.
And you planned a large party. As a matter of fact, there were several hundred people coming to the party.
Yes.
You commissioned the defendant to make dresses for your daughter's friends.
Yes.
And she agreed, and you came to a price. What was the price for the dresses?
The green dresses that we originally ordered were $120 each.
And how many did you order?
There were to be 11.
Your complaint is that 4 of the dresses came back in the wrong color.
Correct.
And you want that money back.
Right.
And you also want back the money that you paid to the photographer, because according to you, the pictures were not as you anticipated they would be because of the different color dresses. Ms. Madrigal says that she does in fact acknowledge the different colors. Even I could see. Are those the 2 different colors?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That they were totally different colors. She says slightly off shade. That's really bad. And that you shouldn't make such a big deal about it. That's basically a defense. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there any more that I left out?
We ordered the dresses.
You ordered the dresses from someone else. You didn't
Right,
make them.
exactly. No, we did not make the dresses.
Okay. Can I see those dresses, please? These were dresses that she was not making. She was buying. She was the middle person.
Right.
Where did the dresses come from, Miss Madrigal?
From Texas.
Well, they are lovely dresses, but I certainly see what you mean, that they're totally the wrong color. How many of these were there? 4?
4.
Did the girls wear them?
Yes, they did.
Can I see the photographs, please? Why don't you go up and stand next to your mom? Tell me your name.
Juliana.
Juliana? Bird, you can give these back to the plaintiff. Oh, these pictures are lovely. Juliana, it looks to me as if you had a great time at this party, did you?
Well, yes.
Your dress is beautiful. Your dress was white?
Yeah.
Why do you think that the defendant should be responsible for what you paid to the photographer?
Because the pictures and the video are what's left to us as memories of the event.
Why do you think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses?
I don't think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses. What I think is that she should have did something for us. She gave these girls their dresses the day of the event. They arrived 2 days prior to the event.
Did the girls go to pick them up 2 days prior to the event?
No, they went to look at them 2 days prior to the event.
Right.
And pick them up the day of the event.
Well, that's not her fault.
That's not her fault, but she could have did something as far as the color. She has a boutique. It's a store. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. It doesn't...
Ms. Munoz, she's not responsible for your photographer. You purchased the dresses from her, from a manufacturer. She was the middle person. Manufacturer sent 4 of the dresses in the wrong color. You had an option at that point. Your option was not to take the dresses and go out and find other dresses, or take the dresses and use them. Did she give you a discount on the 4 dresses?
Yes, she did.
What was the discount?
Half price.
So you actually paid $60 a piece for those dresses?
Correct.
Did you pay for, Miss Madrigal, those 4 dresses?
Yes, I did. And I had ordered shawls, and not only that, but the shawls did not come in. What I did is I ran around all the fabric stores until I found the color. That's when I told Mrs. Munoz that I had found the color of the fabric if she wanted us to make the dresses. She told me yes at one time, so I told the seamstress we're going to have to stay until we're done with these dresses. I gave all the girls free alterations for the air, and I gave the girls a 50% off those light color dresses.
Well, what did she say when you said, I can make the dresses and we'll stay all night?
She said there was not enough time.
She said there was not enough time?
Yes, she did.
Anyway, the pictures look beautiful. You had a wonderful time? Sure you did. Don't tell me that because some of your girlfriends wore white dresses, you were miserable the whole day. I mean, that's ridiculous. You don't want me to think you're ridiculous, do you? No, of course not. You had a wonderful time. That's what you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to get bogged down with little things that really, in the scheme of life, are meaningless. You had a wonderful time. And if a dress is going to make you miserable, then your priorities are all off. Do you understand that?
But my friends, when they see the dresses, they don't want to come in, my quinceañera.
Listen, if your friends are being stupid, that doesn't mean you have to be stupid. Right? Huh? If a member of your family couldn't be there because of illness or because of something else, that's a reason to be sad. Because the dress is the wrong color? Get your priorities straight.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there.
Grow up.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosalinda Munoz says shop owner Lupe Madrigal owes for the cost of 4 dresses. Rosalinda says they were the wrong color.
Seems to me, Ms. Munoz, that the defendant did everything that was reasonable under the circumstances. She ran around, she made the shawls herself, charged you half price for the dresses. You took the dresses, you used them. You used them for the event.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The shawls and this off-white color don't match. They're a little bit different. They almost match, but they're different.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
You can see that in the pictures.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
Nothing.
What are you going to do with the green dresses?
Nothing.
Now you'll do the same nothing with the white dresses.
Right.
Ms. Munoz, get a life. Listen, and don't teach your daughter the wrong thing. This lady did the best she could under the circumstances. If you didn't want the dresses, all you had to do was say, listen, I'll go out and find other dresses. I'm not paying you at all for the dresses. I'm not using them.
But, Your Honor, I was in a time restraint there. I had
Of course
2
you were.
days. This event took me over a year to plan. Over a year. It's like a wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Yeah, you're only 15 once.
Exactly.
You're only 20
And this
once.
was
You're only
ruined.
21 once. You're only 25
You're
once.
right.
You're only 50 once.
You're right, but
And later-
this event was ruined for my daughter because of this mistake.
I am
These
going to tell you,
dresses-
and I am going to tell you something. If what you tell me is that the event was ruined because of the dress, I am telling you that you and your daughter don't have your priorities straight. If a whole event is ruined because the color of a dress is off, you and your daughter better sit down and reevaluate what's important in life. This is not. You use the dresses for their intended purpose.
We had no choice.
No, you had a choice. Your choice was to go and get other dresses.
Not in 2 days, we couldn't.
Yes, you could have. And you would have had to pay for them. These dresses you got half price. It was a bargain. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After a year of planning, we only had 2 days, so we had no choice.
I did my best.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
We worked over hours, you know, trying to get all the alterations done, and we did it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Buchanan versus Cable. Step forward, please.
20-year-old office manager Jennifer Buchanan is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old salesperson Desiree Cable, for breaking their apartment lease. Desiree says Jennifer was acting like a mother.
Miss Buchanan, I assume that you and the defendant were friends when you signed this one-year lease on an apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you sign the lease?
On February 7th, 2003.
And rent on the apartment was how much?
It's $880 a month.
Is it one bedroom or two?
Two.
Were you both working?
Yes.
Great. Okay. And according to your complaint, Miss Cable at some point early on in the lease moved out. She, according to you, moved back with her boyfriend. And she continued to pay the rent on the apartment, despite the fact that she was not living there, for how many months?
4 to 6 months.
When did you move out?
I moved out probably the end of March.
So April, May, June, July, and August. 5 months you paid rent,
Right.
correct?
No, August 1st, she stopped paying everything.
So she paid rent for 4 months.
Correct.
And you want her to be responsible for her share of the remainder of the lease.
Correct.
What did you do to get another roommate?
I never did. I mean, we just met and we came into the assignment agreement
No, I
together.
understand that, that's what you're saying to me. She moved out of the apartment in March.
Correct.
You know that she's not moving back because she's living with her boyfriend. What did you do to do the right thing and try to get another roommate?
I can't get another roommate. We came into this, it's for the first 12 months of the lease, it is based on your income. So there was not anybody, I mean, I would have to find somebody specifically within her income restrictions in order to move in because mine didn't change.
What did you do to try to get another roommate?
Nothing.
You have to. Why did you move out?
She was acting like my mother. She didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there. So I moved out.
Why did you like a boyfriend?
I never had a problem with her boyfriend, to my knowledge.
In any event, she wanted to move back. According to your answer, Miss Buchanan said that she had a new roommate starting in August.
She said that her boyfriend lease ran up at the end of July, and she was going to ask him to move in.
When did she tell you that?
Probably beginning of April, she had mentioned it.
Listen, you have a responsibility to mitigate damages, but she also has a responsibility, if she's moving out, to find another roommate for you. Except you told her your boyfriend was moving in.
No, I didn't tell her he was moving in. Mentioned it, that there could be a possibility, but the leasing department said no, that the income wouldn't work.
When did you tell her that?
I came home and there was a note saying that she's not paying. I never gave her a yes or no answer. So I said,
well, you better find a roommate, madam. You better find a roommate. She's not paying any more rent.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, she's not paying any more rent. You have a responsibility to mitigate the damages. You allowed her to move out. You said, my boyfriend may be moving in. His lease is up at the end of July, which means that she didn't look for anybody else because she assumed that your boyfriend was going to move in. And Miss Cable did the right thing. She acted honorably in paying rent, even though she wasn't living there for 4 months. 4 months is a long enough period of time for you to try to find somebody else. You did not. That's not her problem. Grow up. Goodbye. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just not paying rent anymore for someplace I don't live.
She signed a lease, so I figured she would be obligated.
She just said if you came here, you had to go directly to your room.
I don't know what she's talking about. I never really spoke to her boyfriend.
I just didn't even fool with her, so we just never even came there.
She was just never there.
I guess she thought she was going to get some money, but I guess she didn't.
I don't think it was a fair judgment.
How old is your child?
She's 3.
A young mother evicted by her stepmom.
They said that I couldn't live in their house anymore.
One boyfriend was convicted.
What is he in jail for?
Statutory rape.
Of?
Me.
Another boyfriend was violent.
He beat on the baby. He hit her because she had an accident in her pants.
If you were the grandmother, what would you do?
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My husband could not have afforded the car.
He told me at that time it was her responsibility. She's the one that wanted the car.
I had a change in child support. I wasn't receiving it. I needed to take care of my children, and I did what I had to do.
I try to keep things as cool as I can because I still want to see my grandchildren.
The grandmother and my children have a wonderful relationship, her and I do not have one, and it will remain that way.
I regret doing it.
He comes up to him and goes like this. I thought he was going to beat him up.
This man's going to need an alibi.
What were you doing to him?
I didn't do anything.
He's going to need proof.
He made up a wild story that I had choked him.
Anybody else witness this?
And he's going to need
Who are you? I'm Brett's mother.
his mommy.
I never saw Brett touch him.
I don't believe a word you say.
Judge Judy.
What are all you people doing here?
They're my character witnesses.
I don't know character witnesses. I've determined you're a character. What do you want?
Suing 19-year-old student Stephen Beck and his father, Tony Beck, for having him falsely arrested. Stephen stands by his story that Brett assaulted him.
Yeah, this is case number 300 on the calendar in the matter of Kamerman versus Beck. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, folks. Have seats.
Mr. Cameraman, it is your claim that the defendants, both father and son, had you falsely arrested. You want to be reimbursed for that false arrest, bail money, attorney's fees, pain and suffering, aggravation, etc., etc.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Beck and Master Beck say that they absolutely were within their rights to have you arrested because you did, in fact, put your hands on one of them and threaten the other. So that's what this case is about. How do you know each other?
I didn't know them prior to this. The way that we came in contact with each other is I was driving my car and going to my house to pick up some tools to do some work on some of my rental properties. And Master Beck was parked blocking the right-of-way.
How was he blocking the right-of-way?
He was parked in an alleyway. We live in Newport Beach, which is a very small beach community that has an alleyway to get to the homes.
Okay, so you have to drive through a common alleyway in order to get to all of the homes.
That's true.
Okay. What were you doing there, Stephen?
I was loading my surfboards on top. My car was still on, so I wasn't fully parked. But
Well, the car was stopped, wasn't it?
yeah, I was out standing on my tire. Oh,
When I want a whole story, I'll ask you.
okay.
Other than that, if you could answer me just the questions, 1 or 2 words will be enough. So the car was in fact stopped because you were loading something onto the car.
Yes.
So what happened?
First of all, I didn't observe any surfboards. I had motioned to him to move.
Me move and pull out of the driveway.
Yeah, just to get out of the way so I could get to where I
Well,
was
in order
going.
to pull out of the way, he had to go through the alleyway someplace else.
Yes, just pull in front of actually the home that he was in front of at the alleyway. He could have pulled into the street, and there was an area to park that he could have been fine there, or pull back where he wanted to. This is common.
Just a second.
Okay, sorry.
So you could have loaded your surfboards by pulling into where your house was.
Yes.
Okay. So he didn't move.
That's correct.
And what did you do?
I motioned to him to move. He acknowledged I was there and then walked around like, tough luck, I'm going to do as I please. So I thought, okay, I'll get out of the car and approach him. Maybe he'll realize that he needs
I'm
to move.
bigger than he is.
Yeah, a little bit. So I went up to him. I thought that would do it. That didn't do it. And so I said things like, do you need help to put the key in the ignition so you can turn the car on and move the car? And then his girlfriend started screaming at me.
You're the girlfriend? What was she saying?
She was just screaming, leave him alone. You can't do, just unintelligible things.
Well, what were you doing to him, Mr. Cameraman?
I was actually doing nothing except saying, do you need somebody to show you how to? I was being
Mr. Cameraman,
facetious.
when I ask you to tell me what happened, it's not going to be one of, and then I said, and then he said, and then I said, and then he said, because I don't believe that. Do you understand?
I can understand that, yes, Your Honor.
So let's backtrack a little bit. You got out of the car after Stephen over here was dissing you,
Yes,
showing off to his girlfriend,
exactly.
because he's a kid.
Yes.
Certainly not doing the right thing, Stephen. When someone pulled up behind you in the car, the right thing to do was to have gotten in the car with your girlfriend and move the car out of the way so that that person could drive through the driveway. Do you understand?
Yeah, I say one
Understand?
thing.
Yeah.
I motioned him just 1 minute, just like you did, 1 minute, so I could buckle it, so I can move it. It takes 30 seconds, and it's no big deal.
Stephen, this whole thing didn't start because of 30 seconds, Stephen. If you live until you're 100, you're not going to be as smart as I am. It's just the way that God crafted you. There's a certain common sense to life. I understand it. I can't do certain things, but there's a certain common sense that I have. I'm not saying that he did the right thing, Mr. Cameron, because he's still going to give me, and then I said, and then he said. Right? But I'm telling you that you did the wrong thing. Now, Mr. Cameraman, let's get back to, and then I said. Go ahead.
I was yelling at him and trying to get him to move the car, And I was actually shocked to even know that anybody else was in the car. And then I heard her screaming, "Leave him alone." And then I realized since she was escalating everything, I decided I'm going to leave this alone and go back to my car. I went back to my car, turned the engine off, locked it, and proceeded to my house. As I got halfway across the street, Mr. Stephen Beck then decided to get into his vehicle and then move his vehicle to the spot that I said that he could move to that would work. So I realized he had done that. Then I went immediately back to my car and moved my car and put it in a legal parking spot near my house. At that point, I figured everything was over. I was loading things into my car. I made comments. They made comments about things. I yelled and
You mean
said...
that you were yelling at each other?
We were yelling at each other. Across the street, the girlfriend started saying, "Come on, hit us. We can have you thrown in jail. Come on, hit us. My mom's a lawyer. I can have you thrown in jail." And I said, "Well, yeah, I know that. I'm not going to touch anybody."
No, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that was a lie as well. I went back into my house, came back out, and they had called the police. And Stephen made up a wild story that I had choked him and smashed him against the car.
Okay, so, and that's why you were arrested. You have a copy of the complaint?
Yes.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
Oh, brother, you know that pesky fly that comes in here every once in a while? It's back. You sit down, Tony, for a second. Come up here. What's your name?
My name? Michelle Severus.
Michelle. Okay, Michelle. What did you see?
I saw this gentleman, or Stephen was putting his surfboards on top. He was standing on his tire, buckling his boards. Brett came around through the alley, drove in, parked right behind, and honked his horn. And Stephen gestured him 1 second, and then right away, I see him because I'm looking back out of the back. I'm in the passenger seat. He starts getting furious in his car. What I saw a gesture of the finger. Then he gets out of the car immediately, comes right up to Stephen, and their size is different. And I see he comes up to him viciously and goes like this.
Doesn't hit him.
Doesn't hit him, not right then. Next thing I know, I see Stephen against the back of the side of the door, the back door, and Brett had his hands on his neck. And then he opened the door, tried pushing him in the car, was trying to get him so he could move his car. And then from there on,
and you're sitting in the passenger seat all this time?
Yes, and I'm in the passenger seat, and when I see him put his hands on his neck, that's when I start yelling, yes. And I got scared, and he wasn't a minor, but what I yelled, because I thought he was going to beat him up, I yelled, "Get your hands off him, he's a minor."
You mean if he was older, it would have been okay?
Well, no, but their size is considerable, and
He's always going to be that size. Right?
Right.
Probably.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't believe you. Because that's my job. Because I've been doing this job for a very long time. Because you're his mother, and I don't believe you. Do you understand?
No.
Well, I'm sorry. I explained it as best as I can. Mull it over for a while. Maybe you'll get it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brett Kaverman says he was falsely arrested when Stephen Beck accused him of assault. Stephen says that during an argument, Brett choked him.
Anybody else witness this? Who are you?
I'm Patty Kamerman. I'm Brett's mother.
Where were you when this happened?
I was waiting across the street for Brett to come and pick up tools. And I never saw Brett touch him, push him, or
what
do
did you
any of those
see?
things. I saw just what Brett had said, that he talked to him and he yelled at him, and everybody was very loud and yelling. And Brett went like this and got back in his car, turned the car off, came across the street.
And when you saw all of that, yelling and all of that gesturing, did you stay in your house?
No, I wasn't in the house.
You just waited?
I was outside.
Did you come across the street to where they were?
No, I was.
Why not?
Because I didn't know what was going on. And I was just standing there.
Well, you're his mother. Maybe he was going to be in trouble. Maybe somebody was going to take a gun and hurt him.
No, I knew that there was no problem. This happens dozens of times during the summer, where somebody blocks the driveway, somebody else yells, everybody moves out of the way, and it's over with.
Have a seat, Ms. Cameron. Okay. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, she was inside the house at the time. She was not outside. I made sure of that because I looked for witnesses to witness it. I wanted witnesses.
Okay, your mother saw nothing. I don't believe her. Okay, so then the police came and you were arrested. Even she knows she's not telling you the truth. Then the police came and you were arrested?
Yes.
Now, what happened with Tony Beck? Stand up, Mr. Batchin. Go ahead. And by the way, if there are no other witnesses, what are all you people doing here?
They're my character witnesses.
I don't need the character witnesses. I've determined you're a character. Go ahead.
After I was bailed out of jail, I went to Becky and Donnie's house.
Who's Becky and Donnie?
Becky and Donnie are neighbors of mine.
Raise Becky and Donnie. Any Becky and Donnie here?
Grandchildren.
Your grandchildren.
My brother-in-law and sister-in-law.
Okay.
And I talked with them, and they have bad blood on this side of the family. and they said, if you would, please leave us out of it. We don't want to have to come to court. We already don't get along with them, and the dad, it's a situation where they didn't want to be involved, and so I didn't involve them.
You went down to talk to them. After you talked to them, what happened with Tony?
While I was talking to Becky, some man came running through the house and confronted me and said, keep your hands off my son. And I said, you really should get your facts straight. Your son's lying to people about this. I didn't do anything, and I don't even know why I was taken to jail.
Okay. So nothing, according to you, nothing happened with Tony?
Exactly.
Okay.
But then Tony filed a temporary restraining order against me, lying to the authorities, saying that I had threatened him.
Now, why don't you tell me your version,
Thank you,
Mr. Beck, of the events?
I came through the house and I was off because the confrontation he had with my son. And the words I used when I came up to him is I said, why are you manhandling my son? And he asked, who are you? And Becky says, he's the father of Stephen. He said, get out of here. I don't like you. Get out of here. So, and Becky asked me to leave. I left. As I was leaving, as far as his taunting, when I was leaving, just his character, he says, what's your name? I says, Don knows my name. And he says, oh, don't even know your own name? And this is the same type of antics that he used with the other kids in the neighborhood as far as taunting them.
Mr. Beck.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you file an application for a restraining order against
the
him?
restraining order was
what I'm
filed.
asking you, sir.
The restraining order was filed due to a phone call that he made to my father-in-law. He said he had the intentions
Just a second. Did you make a phone call to his father-in-law?
His father-in-law and I were very good friends. We both are real estate investors. We've been friends for a long time. I wanted to call him and let him know that whatever stories are going around weren't...
Just a second.
Do
you have an affidavit from your relative?
Yes, ma'am. This is the report that my relative went down to the police
I'd like to see what the affidavit says from your relative, because that formed the basis of your application for a protective order. Well, I'd like to see it. This is the statement that is attributed to you, that the victim, whoever your relative is, came to the police front desk to report an annoying phone call he had received. The victim states that on this 20th of July, 2002, his grandson was battered by the suspect cameraman. The victim states that on the same day at approximately 16:30 hours, he received a call from Mr. Cameraman who said, "This is Brett. I know you know I am a martial arts expert. And just to let you know, I intend to sue the Beck family for false arrest. I want to assure you that to your grandchildren, I represent no harm or threat." That is the conversation that is attributed to you.
It's partially true.
Just a minute, what do you want?
I wanted to tell you that I was listening to the phone call.
I don't believe a word you say.
Why not?
Because I don't believe a word you say. I don't believe that you either went out and saw what was happening from outside your house, madam, or that you heard this conversation. I don't believe you. Because that's my job. Because I've been doing this job for a very long time. Because you're his mother, and I don't believe you. I don't believe that he is telling me exactly what happened with this young man. I believe that this gentleman so far had no cause to file for a restraining order against him. No cause. He had no cause. That's clear. But I don't believe your version of the events with Stephen. And therefore, I don't believe you saw what you say you saw. Do you understand?
No.
Well, I'm sorry. I explained it as best as I can. Mull it over for a while. Maybe you'll get it. My question to you, Mr. Cameraman, is what happened during this case when it was in court?
The situation that occurred is I was starting a new corporation.
Don't give me your whole story, Mr. Cameraman. I don't want to hear a whole story about you didn't want this whole thing to drag on.
That's the story. That's what I was going to tell you. If that's not something...
Listen, how come I read your mind?
Well, it was a donation that I made to it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I've been here a long time, sir. I've been doing this job for a long time. What happened with the case, Mr. Cameraman?
I was told it takes a while for this to go, that there are going to be 4 or 5 pretrial hearings.
And
I told my attorney that I was tired of this, that it didn't happen, that they are lying, and it's not fair that I have to deal with this for so long. Can you get it taken care of more quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And so
and your attorney said to you, I can take care of it more quickly. This is what you're going to have to do.
If you make a donation to the Emergency Victims Fund, then they will let it go, because we have to give something to the DA so he feels like he won. And so at that time, I listened to the attorney and made the donation.
That was a mistake.
It was a mistake. And at the time, I
because
asked
a $1,000 donation, whatever it is, whether it's in the form of restitution, whether it's in the form of, listen, I'm not going to be able to successfully meet these charges and I just want the whole thing over, whether it's in the form of, I'm too busy to continue with this, someone who feels as if they have been wrongly arrested, forced to post bail, handcuffed, et cetera, does not make a donation of $1,000 to make the charges go away, which is what you did. So you have no case.
Well, I agree with you, on that. That's
you have
why
no case. It was a
discussed
mistake. It was a mistake. So what do you want me to do? You made a mistake.
Okay, well, at the time, I had never been in a criminal situation. I listened to the criminal attorney. I will call
What do
him
you want?
and let
What
him
do you
know.
want me to do, Mr. Cameraman?
I'm telling you what the situation is, and what I'm asking
You're
you to
an
do is that
intelligent. You're an intelligent man, Mr. Cameraman.
Thank you.
You are an intelligent man. An intelligent man knows that when you pay money into the criminal justice system, it is almost a signal, at least it is some indication, that you feel as if you are in some way wrong. That's the way it's interpreted, Mr.
I can understand
Cameraman.
your interpretation.
That's the way it's interpreted,
However, that's
sir.
not the case. And
Well,
that's why I brought character witnesses.
I'm not
to
interested
tell you
in your
what type of-
character witnesses, sir.
Why
And
not?
I don't believe your mother. I believe that you overreacted to this young man, and I do believe that you put your hands on him. I don't
do.
believe that you hit him.
You believe that I
don't-
put my hands on him?
Yes, I don't believe that you hit him. I don't believe that you hurt him. I believe that you lost your temper when he didn't move that car fast enough. And I think he was showing off for his girlfriend.
He was.
And I think that what he was doing was rude and inconsiderate, and he's 19 years old, and you're a lot older, and you should have cooled it, let it pass.
That's what I
and you
did.
didn't.
I did
And
do
you
that.
didn't. He, of course, had no right to bring you to court for the restraining order, because you had no grounds for a restraining order, Tony Beck. You behaved badly, son. You can't act like a brat. When you act like a brat, things happen. Sometimes you're going to meet up with people who are bigger and stronger, and you can't anticipate what their mental state is going to be, so you have to be respectful of other people's time. You have to be respectful of other people's property. You want to load your car, you don't pull your car unless you absolutely have to in a place that inhibits somebody else from getting by. That's just being respectful. That doesn't give him license to overreact to you, because he could have done exactly what he did 5 minutes later, which is to pull his car into another spot, leave it, and go across the street to get his tools, or at least that's what he was trying to do, to go across the street to get his other tools. Anyway, you have no case, Mr. Cameron. You paid $1,000. $1,000 is some indication of guilt. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
All over Newport Beach, you have this type of situation. Most people are respectful, move out of the way. It's just one of those things. You say, how long are you going to be? Can you move out of the way? They say a couple minutes. You say, no problem. You sit. If they thumb their nose at you, you just go, come on, have some class.
Okay, grab me by the throat, like so, but one arm here, slam me against the car, and then you try to force me into my car to drive it away.
Stephen Beck had to lie and fill out an arrest warrant to have me arrested to show off for his girlfriend.
Brad is like he's like a